Kerry Wood in 1998. It seems like only yesterday that Kerry took the mound for the first time in Montreal back in 1998. Tonight, Mark Pryor's very short journey to the major leagues begins at Wrigley Field. And hello again, everybody. Along with Dave Otto, Chip Caray, welcome back to the ballpark where clearly the future is now. Dave, Mark Pryor is here. He's making his major league debut tonight, and he is a very heralded young man who has earned all the accolades he has garnered from a very quick stint in the minor leagues.
Well, he's earned that with that 5-2 record in AA and AAA, and was really lights out at those two levels. And it's time for him to pitch in the big leagues, and this is something that he has prepared himself for quite some time.
And obviously the expectations by the Cubs fans, the Chicago media, heck, the national media have grown exponentially with each passing day. Crowd roaring for Mark Pryor even before the game gets underway, and Pryor knows that the media glare will be on him very quickly here in Chicago.
I have been in some big situations before. I've pitched in Omaha a couple years. I pitched against Cuba's national team. Pitched in Japan. So I've had some experiences where there's been some high-pressure games, but to say that this is a high-pressure game, I don't think so. But, the stakes are a little bit higher now. This is, Major League Baseball. I mean, wins and losses count all the way. So, I'm just going to go out there and do what I do, and I'm not going to change anything. And, I'm assuming Girardi or Machado's catching, and, whatever they do, I'll just go by their example.
Dave, that's something the Cubs really do like about Mark Pryor. His mental approach to the game is a lot like his delivery. Very simple and very, very effective.
You have to keep it simple. And as far as mentally, I like his way he's thinking right now of whatever that catcher puts down, that's what you're going to throw, because those are the guys, Girardi and Machado. Girardi behind the plate tonight. You got to trust your catcher.
Pittsburgh Pirates provide the opposition. Again, the Pirates come in as the worst scoring team in the major leagues. We'll see how Mark Pryor fares against the battling Buccos and left-hander Dave Williams. A packed house, standing room only tonight in Chicago as Mark Pryor joins a list of Cub immortals. But it is only his major league debut. We'll see how he fares coming up next.
Fox Sports Net's coverage of Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Hyundai, where driving is believing. Test drive one at your local Hyundai dealer today. MGD, cold filtered for a pure beer and a pure night out. Pure MGD. CarX Auto Service, more than you thought for less than you'd think. CarX, your Chicagoland Ford dealer. Visit your local Ford store today. Quality people, quality product. White Hen Pantry. When you run out to White Hen. AT&T Broadband. Toyota, get the feeling. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative. Heineken, it's all about the beer. Heineken. Your local area Lexus dealer, who invite you to test drive a Lexus today. And by Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fares.
Your local Ford store is making this the spring sales event you're never gonna forget. Get the best deal of the year on a new Ford Windstar. You get both.
Future is now for Mark Pryor. He takes the mound at Wrigley Field for the first time as a major league player, and he's set to debut against the Pittsburgh Pirates, against whom the Cubs split a doubleheader yesterday. A look at the Pittsburgh starting lineup has Chad Hermanson at center, Jack Wilson hitting second and short, Brian Giles is in left. Aramis Ramirez has not been the same hitter since spraining his ankle a couple of weeks ago. Rob Makoviak is in right. Jason Kendall's behind the plate. Kevin Young, Pokey Reese, and left-hander Dave Williams will face Mark Pryor before a standing room only crowd at Wrigley Field.
And frankly, Mark Pryor deserves this start after going 5-2 between AA and AAA. And you see that ERA of 2.29. Has 3 pitches. 4-seam fastball to go along with that buckling curveball and that straight change.
And it's a real thrill tonight to be joined by the Hall of Famer, the Whistler, Billy Williams.
This is exciting.
How about this, huh?
Yeah, we get Mark Pryor coming up to the Major League. Sought after pitch in college. Here's the pitch.
His first big league pitch. Misses inside.
But here's a guy that, every team in the Major League sought after him to come to the big league, so we got a chance to sign him.
just breezed through the minor leagues. His numbers, Dave Otto, were remarkable. 79 strikeouts in 51 innings. He only walked 18 men. And you talk about a kid that was on a fast track. Pryor rode the express. And look at that pitch.
Well, one of the reasons why he did go on that fast track, as you look at his delivery, that is easy. Ball flies out of his hand.
What's his repertoire, Dave, for Cub fans who didn't see him down in Arizona? Certainly we haven't seen him here.
Well, with that four-seam fastball, it has some life to it, and it will tail in on right-handed hitters to go along with that 12-6 breaking ball and that straight change. I think the biggest difference between him and younger players is he's refined right now.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Chad Hermanson had quite a day in the doubleheader yesterday. 3 for 7, homered and scored 4 times. And he hits a line drive into center field on a 3-2 pitch. So Hermanson, a guy, Billy, that's had a lot of promise for the Pittsburgh ball club, finally getting a chance now to play every day for the Pirates, and he's hitting over 300.
He's doing pretty good. I think Hermanson came up to the big league and he didn't perform like the Pirates wanted him to, and he'd go back to the minor league, and sometime you go back down there and learn something. So he came back to the big league. Now he's doing well.
I think the biggest adjustment in Chad Hermanson from seeing him last year, he's off the plate now. You saw Mark Pryor right there throw that fastball down, and Hermanson, all he did right there was drop the head.
Jack Wilson had 5 hits in the twin bill yesterday. He handles the bat exceptionally well. And not surprising, guys, that Pittsburgh, a team that scored fewer runs than anybody else in baseball, is trying to put an early run up on Mark Pryor tonight.
Put an early run up and test him defensively.
Wilson scored 3 times in the doubleheader. And the bunt is a beauty. Be only one play. It's to first. 5-4 the sacrifice. Hermanson to second base, and 1 man out.
And here's why I like that from the Cubs standpoint and Mark Pryor. You know, you go out to that mound, first key is to get that first out. And if they lay that sacrifice bunt down, hey,
that's it out.
You will take that out.
From a hitter standpoint, Billy, there's so much hype surrounding Mark Pryor. That's got to get your juices flowing in that Pirate dugout, doesn't it?
It really does, Chip. When you read about a pitcher who's pitched well in the minor league, when he comes to the major league, you all want to face him and see what he throws.
Brian Giles bats with a man in scoring position.
And it's a comparison, excuse me, like, you know, Tom Seaver when he comes to the big league. When you talk about Wood, you know, he's a power pitcher coming to the big league. But Mark Pryor, I think he's a polished pitcher. He throws a fastball, curveball, and he stays close around the plate. And it's kind of like Tom Seaver when he came to the big league. He was a pitcher, not a thrower. He always kept the ball low, good slider down about the knees. So I think Pryor going to do pretty good.
2 balls, no strikes to Giles. And he paints the corner. It's tough for the umpire, too. They've read the press clippings, but they haven't seen Pryor pitch.
They haven't seen his curveball, his fastball, his changeup. You know, they want to get a good look at him, too.
And Tim Welke is tonight's home plate umpire in Pryor's debut, and he's painted the outside corner twice in a row.
Billy, you mentioned Tom Seaver and certainly great Hall of Fame career, but the comparison that I see are the legs. Tom Seaver, that drop and drive type pitcher, and Mark Pryor, you take a look at his calves, and my goodness, everything, his legs are underneath him.
Well, strike 3. Giles couldn't stop it. And there's Pryor's first major league strikeout.
I think the one thing when we talk about Tom Seaver, he had to wear that pad on his leg. And a long time ago, all the pitching coaches used to always talk about the drop and drive.
Sure.
And Tom Seaver wore that pad on his knee, and all the time, you know, he got that knee dirty because he'd come right at you.
Aramis Ramirez, the Pirate third baseman, 4 for his last 32 with 13 strikeouts. We saw him in the first week and a half of the year, and he was hitting everything very hard. But since he sprained that ankle, guys, he has not been the same player for the Pittsburgh team, and they sorely need his offense.
Well, not the same hitter, nor can he run the bases. Augie Ojeda in last night's ball game made a play up the middle to throw out Ramirez.
That was a fine play, too. There's a strike by Mark Pryor.
I've never seen a guy make a somersault at shortstop and still have time to throw somebody out.
Well, he haven't been running well. Ramirez hurt the ankle. He had a tremendous year last year.
1 ball, 1 strike to the Pirate third baseman, Aramis Ramirez, who last year hit 34 homers, knocked in 112 runs. That's the most Pirate RBI total since Pie Traynor hit 119 in 1930.
That was a good year.
No doubt about it. Ramirez in a 1-2 hole. And he fought off that particular pitch. What kind of guy was Pie in the clubhouse, Billy? I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I knew it.
Well, we're delighted you're up
but
to
Ramirez, you know, he faced one pitcher, and I think they got in a knockdown.
Yes.
And he got, well, he threw a helmet, and he got suspension, I think about 3 or 4 games. He got a suspended for 3 or 4 games.
1-2 pitch. Breaking ball. See you later. How about that? Pryor gives up a leadoff hit. A sacrifice, then punches out the next 2. Welcome to the big leagues, Mark. Here come the Cubs in the first. Strikes out 2 in the top of the first. Now let's see if the Cubs can give him a couple of runs with which to work early. Corey Patterson, Joe Girardi in the number 2 slot, ahead of Sammy Sosa, Fred McGriff, and Moises Alou, who's back in the lineup. Bill Miller, Bobby Hill, Augie Ojeda hit 6th, 7th, and 8th. And Mark Pryor will bat 9th against Dave Williams. And Dave, this guy's a funny guy, Dave Williams. He started the season very well, but has really been pounded the last 3 or 4 outings.
Last 3 outings has not been able to get out of that 4th inning. When we talk about Mark Pryor, 21 years old, this guy only 23 years old, and has thrown the ball well against this Cubs ball club in 2 outings, 1-1 record, and given up 4 runs, and all 4 of those runs coming on solo home runs.
In fact, all 8 that Williams has given up have been solo home runs. So he's done a great job of minimizing the damage. And guys, he has owned left-handed hitters, and I don't know why. He's held them to a 1-for-26 batting average this year. Billy, anything you see from him that would?
Well, he's throwing a good fastball, a tailing fastball. He got a real good changeup, and he tried to get the ball on the outside part of the plate. Let's hope that our left-handed hitters get him. See, that was a changeup, I think, right there. You get ahead of the hitters, and then he throw the changeup in the dirt.
Left-handed hitter that you were, what adjustments would you make from right-handed pitchers to a left-handed guy, and especially like Williams, one that doesn't throw particularly hard?
The one thing I did, if I faced a right-handed pitcher for a couple of 2 or 3 weeks, and coming in with a left-handed pitcher, I tried to hit the ball to the left side of the diamond. Because, you know, facing a right-hander, you know, you try to throw the fastball and slide on the inside part of the plate, and I wanted to make sure I stayed with the left-handed pitcher, so I get my stuff to left field.
And really, I think that's what Corey Patterson, and we just saw him strike out, but that's the one thing he's doing from that left side is trying to take those lefties to left field. And every once in a while, he will get jammed on that inside fastball from a lefty, but hey.
There's Bill with the base hit.
He's off to a great start in the month of May. That's a 4-game hitting streak for Girardi, who's hitting in the number 2 spot for the first time this season. And Billy and Dave, out of necessity, Don's really had to shuffle that lineup, and Girardi's had one of the hottest hands of anybody.
Well, Joe he's been swinging the bat pretty good for the month of May. He's been getting in, catching some games. I just hope that, you know, somebody else could do a job where he won't have to catch so many games. Because I remember a couple of years ago, he was hitting 300 and got tired at the end of the season. But it's good he's catching tonight, catching Mark Pryor. He knows the Pirates hitters. He put down the fingers. Pryor got confident in him, so this is a good match.
Here's Sammy Sosa. Sammy, 4 homers, 6 RBIs against left-handed pitching, and boy, it was great to see him finally able to drive in a run last night in Game 2 of that doubleheader. You talk about a ball that evaporated. One he hit against Josh Fogg was a huge blow. And that pops away from Kendall. Girardi will scamper to second with 1 man out.
It was a breaking ball, and the Cubs needed that because after losing the first game 12-1, and they come back and win the baseball game, you know, it was something.
You know, and Sammy, in that count 2-1, Billy, and you've been in those situations, looking out over the plate, probably realizing that Josh Fogg in that situation isn't going to challenge him with that inside fastball.
No, it's really not. So it was a breaking ball, and Sammy, as you say, was looking out over the plate. He knew because you know he got it. You know, he's not going to give him anything good to hit.
And that's the bad thing about that wild pitch. It opens up first base, sets up a double play. They walk Sosa intentionally, and here's where that 1 for 26 statistic plays so large a role in the game. Williams got Patterson to lead off the game. Now, guys, he faces Fred McGriff.
Well, hopefully McGriff look at this pitcher, Dave Williams, as a pitcher he faced throughout the major league, and just kind of put him in that vision and look him as that kind of pitcher. But Fred, you know, he hit the ball to left center field, so he might be on this guy and get a base hit to left field.
That's exactly right, Billy. I like to see Fred McGriff, when he gets extension, drive that ball to left center.
When he hit the baseball last night over the fence, you know, he hit it to left center field. That's Fred McGriff. That's how he normally hit the baseball.
Wind is blowing out tonight, and so pretty much any alley is a wind tunnel, but you know this place better than anybody else. If you can go that way on any day, you've got a chance, don't you?
You really do, because the gate always been a place where you had a little draft there. And because I hit the ball to left center and right center, you know, I hit a lot of home runs in left center field.
No balls and a strike, and Kendall makes the stop to even up the count. Our good friends at AT&T Broadband in Homewood, Illinois. Welcome to Chicago on a special night. Billy Williams, the Hall of Famer, is with us, and Mark Pryor making his major league debut for Don Baylor and the Cubs this evening. There's a rocket into the right field corner. That's going to score one for sure. Here comes Sosa. He's flying around third. He's going to score. And McGriff with a double puts the Cubs in front. That's the surest way to force teams to pitch to Sosa.
It really is. When McGriff come up there, and he's been swinging the bat real well. I think the one thing that does, though, we're looking at the hit that McGriff hit down the right field line, drove in a couple of runs, but it added more to Mark Pryor. He could go out there and relax a little bit now and enjoy his game.
No question. Our RBIs number 26 and 27 for the Crime Dog, and I'll tell you what, Sammy Sosa going from first to third. He can scoot, Billy.
Sammy can still run.
And here's Moises Alou. Joking with Moises before the game. I said, hey, on that dive, I'll give you about a 9.4. He said, what if I made the catch? Well, then you get a 10.
You get a chance.
A 10.
But he made a heck of a try. I don't know whether I would have did that or not, you know, losing by 9 runs. But we need him in the lineup, and I think Alou is trying to do a little bit too much, coming with a different ball club, and he wanted to go out there and prove that he's a good hitter. He don't have to prove nothing to nobody because he's a great hitter.
Right.
He's been doing it all over the years.
No balls and a strike to Alou. A couple of home runs for him, and there's a high fly ball to right. Makoviak gives ground and has room, and McGriff's going to tag, and he's going to head to third. Here's the throw from Makoviak, strong but off target. Runner at third with 2 outs. Billy, we get a lot of email all the time, and people ask us the question I'm going to ask you. Have you ever seen a team that has slumped from 1 through 8 like this one has in the first month and a half?
I really haven't, Chip. I've been in baseball a long time, and normally you see 2 or 3 guys slumping at one time, but I haven't seen 8 guys throughout the lineup slump like the thing we've gone through. And I know that hitting is contagious. Seemed like on this ball club, you know, not swinging the bat real well is contagious.
Sometimes it can be a disease, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is now. But you normally see, you know, you keep 2 or 3 guys swinging the bat at one time. You don't want everybody to swing the bat, you know, at the same time, because you know everybody going to do just what they're doing now, hit the slump at the same time. Of course, you get a couple of guys swinging the bat real good, it'd be nice. But I've never seen 8 guys throughout the lineup go into slumps like I could feel for the 3, 4, 5 guys because they're trying to do a little bit too much. When they get a guy on second base, they're trying to drive him in because they know their run produces.
2 strikes to Miller, and Bill looks away. 1-2 your count. When you look at the career numbers, that's why teams keep them. You know at the end of the year that if a guy's a career 286 hitter, he's going to hit anywhere from 275 to 295.
That's right.
But do you look at McGriff and Alou, neither man hitting his weight, and that's shocking at this point in the season, because especially in Alou's case now, he's been hurt, but he's always a fast starter.
I tell you, I was just hoping that we stayed close, you know, not being behind like we have in the league, because you know these guys going to hit. I think the one thing we talked about.
Little roller back to the mound, and Williams will make the play.
One thing you talk about, Chip, is a guy coming in, you know, the major league. That's why you get him with the ball club. He's a career 290 hitter, you know, 320 hitter, driving a lot of runs, hit a lot of home runs. And the one thing happened, I was hoping we stayed close, because you know they're going to have good years when the weather warm up a little bit.
Well, Cubs get 2 from Mark Pryor, and at the end of 1, Cubs lead Pittsburgh 2-0.
There's plenty of good seats still available for Cubs games throughout the 2002 season. For tickets, call 1-800-THE-CUBS or visit the Wrigley Field box office or any Chicagoland Sears or Sears hardware store, or go to Cubs.com, the ultimate baseball website. Listen to game day audio and watch highlights direct, baseball's best and more, exclusively at Cubs.com.
3 balls, no strikes to Rob Makoviak, the Pirate right fielder, hitting .224 on the year. Cubs get 2 in the first for Mark Pryor, and 4 straight puts the Bucco right fielder aboard in the second inning. 1 on, nobody out for Jason Kendall, the Pirate catcher, slumping. This guy's a better player ability than .259, isn't he?
Kendall, you know, he broke his ankle a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, and I think he's still trying to get back into it. But he always, through the years, put the bat on the baseball. I think more so he's trying to pull a baseball now. When he had his good years, he drove the ball in the right field.
Which is what they're hoping he'll do in their new ballpark.
Yes.
How would you have liked hitting in PNC Park in your day?
Matter of fact, all the ballparks now,
well,
I think all the ballparks are being built small now. We were just talking, Bill Burton and I was talking about, you know, Old Ford Field, you know, why they used to house the cage in center field during a baseball game. But it was about 470, 480 out there, and the cage didn't come into play not any time.
Wow, it's like Tiger Stadium, the 440 feet away from home plate to center field, still well over 400 feet in their new ballpark in Comerica Park, and all you hear are the players whining about how big the ballpark is. Man, that was commonplace in your day, wasn't it?
Yeah, all the ballparks was large. You know, you're talking about playing in the Polo Grounds. You know, you couldn't hit it over the hitter's eye. I remember one Sunday we playing then. Lou Brock hit the ball over the hitter's eye in center field. But most of your ballparks at that time were big ballparks. I know in Detroit, they got to sign some pitchers first, and then they bring the fences in. You know, they're not going to get no hitters over there because it's too far.
Tell you what, that old Tiger Stadium, that place couldn't hold me. I gave up a 440-footer there.
Oh, you just
So a walk and a hit batsman for Pryor. Here in the second inning, 2 men on with nobody out.
Well, that's where you want to go against Mr. Kendall. 0-2, just trying to crowd him. But at the same time, with Kendall diving out over the plate, difficult pitch to get in there because he really tries to take away that outside corner.
So a little control problem for Mark here in the second. Got to figure the nerves still jangling for him. 1 ball, no strikes to Kevin Young. He went 3 for 5 yesterday in the Pirate doubleheader, including a home run and a pair of doubles, and he scored twice. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Pryor has that devastating curveball that we've seen early on in this ball game, but at the same time, against a guy like Kevin Young, and seeing him hit yesterday, good off-speed hitter. I like to stay with that fastball against Kevin Young.
Well, when you talk about a guy like Kevin Young, you always talk about a player with a slider speed bat.
Exactly.
And that's what he has. Mark Pryor got the good fastball. I like to see him go up and in on him and try and get a ground ball.
Young doesn't run particularly well. And that one corked back into the seats. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Since 1920, only 13 Cubs starting pitchers have picked up wins in their big league debuts. Over the last 15 seasons, though, 6 of those 13 were triumphant. And I'll bet you, Billy, will remember just about every single one of them. We'll go down the list in a second. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There's
that breaking ball. Miller,
ball.
second one, first 2. that ball had been hit 4 feet to the right, that might have been a triple play. Wouldn't that have taken the cake? Right. Koviak to third, 2 outs.
Well, we talked about Kevin Young being a fairly good breaking ball hitter, and he hits this ball pretty good to Bill Miller. But what I like about Billy Miller in that spot, he's not so much worried about the double play, but knocking the son of a gun down and at least getting it out and saving a run. And he was fortunate enough to roll it up.
Yeah.
Here's Pokey Reese, 0 for 5 yesterday for Pittsburgh. And he takes a strike. Jeff Pico won in May 31st, 1988. Sean Bosky in 1990. Bob Scanlon in 91. Then Amori Telemaco in 1996. Jeremy Gonzalez and Kyle Farnsworth. And Pokey Reese with a solid single to right scores the first Pittsburgh run, and it's a 2-1 ball game here in the second.
Well, there's a mistake right there with the man on third base and your 8-hole hitter up. You don't want to give him anything too good to hit because you have that pitcher on deck.
Well, that was a rookie mistake. I'm surprised he gave him a good ball to hit because, as you say, you got the pitcher coming up to the plate. You always want to get that pitcher up there.
Especially one hitting 167 like Williams. Man that struck out 8 times this season. So no shutout, no no-hitter. And the Pirates are on the board. They've cut the Cub lead in half at 2-1. Out of play for a strike. Most strikeouts by a Cub in his major league debut since 1969. That total is 8. Juan Cruz did that August 21st against the Milwaukee Brewers. Pryor with a couple of strikeouts to start the game. And Williams is down 2 strikes.
All those particular pitches I remember. The one guy I remember because, you know, he was out in Arizona, Jim Bellinger, as a shortstop. He signed as a shortstop. And when I went out to manage the instruction league, he was my shortstop out there. He got a lot of base hits, drove in a lot of runs, and he became a pitcher.
That's right, and he's the last Cub to homer in his first major league at bat. That was against Real Cormier
in St. Louis.
Of course, then with the Cardinals. So stay tuned. Pryor's going to hit third when the Cubs come up in this second inning. Live fastball missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got to figure that Cubs will let Pryor go as long as he can, but they will be very careful with his right arm, a lot like they were with Kerry Wood.
No question. And 115, 120 pitches will be it for Mr. Pryor.
There's his 3rd strikeout. He surrenders his first big league run, but he hasn't surrendered a lead. He's got a 2-1 advantage, and Mark Pryor's coming up 3rd. After our game on Fox Sports Net. 2-1 your score. Bobby Hill, Augie Ojeda, and Mark Pryor are coming up for the Cubs, who lead it 2-1 in our second inning. Dave Otto, Billy Williams, and yours truly, Chip Carey, from historic Wrigley Field, where the Cubs tonight try to win their 3rd game in 4 outings. The Cubs have dug themselves quite a hole, gentlemen. 11 games behind the first place Cincinnati Reds. Got to figure, take them one at a time, which is quite obvious, but they can get back to within a game or 2, either under or above 500 by June 1. Take your chances after this kind of start.
Well, you still have a lot of baseball games to go, but we got to continue start scoring some runs. We dug ourselves a deep hole, as you say, but we still have enough games. When we go on a streak, we got to win 10, 12, but you got to take them one at a time. You got to win the first one first.
And I think it's a surprise to a certain extent where Cincinnati is right now in first place at 27 and 18, and you know, all of a sudden they're getting some pretty good pitching, and that was going to be their weakness.
Bobby Hill scorches that ball to a former Red. Pokey Reese could play at second. 1 up and 1 man down. Ken Griffey Jr. Billy's going to be back this weekend apparently for Cincinnati when they go to Atlanta, and they're talking to Jeff Shaw still.
Well, you know, Ken, when Griffey come back, you know, he gonna go all out because he's a great ball player, and I thought he would have that great year last year coming back off the injured list, but you know, when they get him in the lineup, it's going to add another player.
They get him back. What do you do with Mr. Kearns and Mr. Dunn or Encarnacion, the 3 guys that are playing super right now, and I guess Cincinnati has that luxury of 4 quality outfielders.
Well, I think anytime you got a King Griffith Jr., he's going to come back and he's going to be in the lineup, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's another guy proven that he's a Major League Baseball player. You know, he could do a lot of things on a baseball field.
2-0 pitch to Augie Ojeda. There's a line drive down the left field line. That's going to bounce against the left field wall. Brian Giles is over quickly. Not fast enough to get Ojeda, who stands at second with his second 2-base hit. And here comes Mark Pryor at the plate. I'm looking as forward to watching him hit as I am to pitch.
Well, in the minor league, his first start in AAA, he hit 2 home runs. So I've seen him out in spring training. You know, he's a guy that when he swings the bat, you look at him as a normal hitter because the ball jumps off his bat. And he's a big guy, he's a strong guy, but he gets his bat through the strike zone. But we're really concerned about his pitching. We want him to get people out.
And how about that? They throw him a breaking ball. They know about. They read the scouting report.
They know.
Too, don't they? By the way, with that double, Carx makes a $50 donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's 2 doubles tonight. 1 by McGriff, 1 by Ojeda. 1 ball, no strikes to Mark Pryor as he'll try to help himself. Pretty good cut, and it's out of play to the right side. Down in the minor leagues, Pryor went 3 for 7 at Iowa with a triple and 2 home runs. He was really slumping at West Tennessee. Went 2 for 12, and he also hit a home run.
He's
breaking off some curveballs.
He's seen 2 curveballs and a cutter right in his kitchen. Oh my! Welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's even at 2-2.
I got to say, here come the curveball again, huh? I think he's ready for it this time.
Did you think like a hitter, or did you try to outguess the pitcher when you were up there?
I continue to thought like a hitter. You know, thought like a hitter.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There's the curveball.
There's the curveball.
He fought it off. My question is, Dave, you're in Pryor's shoes. Very analytical guy. Is he thinking like a pitcher or thinking like a hitter now?
I'm sitting dead red. I'm looking for that fastball.
Right now, he's dead red right now.
If he throws something else, hey, I'll take my seat.
Yeah. If he misses, he'd go 3-2, so he don't want to do that. Another curveball. Left it out over the plate. But you know, pitchers get in patterns sometimes. When I face a guy like Gibson, you know, Drysdale or Koufax or those guys, you know, Koufax had the 2 pitches, fastball and curveball. And you didn't have to think too much. You're going to get one or the other.
And you didn't like either one.
Didn't like either one.
Strike 3. Took the fastball. And
you got your pitch,
2.
Dave.
Yeah, that's right.
Dead red.
Dead red. I'm coming out of my shoes right there.
So runner at second, 2 outs. And Corey Patterson will be the hitter. More with Patterson, Hill, and Pryor. 3 very talented young players that come from within the farm system. You have to be excited about that. You already know about Sammy Sosa, Kerry Wood, John Lieber.
When you could reach in like we did this year, you got Patterson up here, and you bring up Hill and Mark Pryor come up to the big league. You know, normally you get 1 or 2 guys coming to the big league in 1 year.
Sure.
But when you could put 3 guys on a major league roster, you're doing pretty good. You know that your farm system is working because over the years, this is how you win baseball games. You get guys who have played together for so many years, and when they come up to the big league, they play together up here, so they know each other's habits.
That was the way it was done in your day. You and Ron Santo pretty much played every day together in the minor leagues, and certainly in the major leagues too.
We did, Chip. When I reached AA baseball in 1959, Ronnie just had signed, and we played those years in AA, and then we went to AAA and played. And of course, up here in the big league, we played in so many games. I think we lead the 2 guys that have played more games in the major league than everybody, teammates who played more games in the major league. So we had a good time. It was a friendly competition. We got in a lot of competition. He wanted to hit more home runs than I did, and I wanted to hit more home runs than he did. So we kept each other going by talking, hitting, And it was a thing that we just had so much fun playing here because we was together for about 6 years. You know, Sano, Beckett, myself, Ernie, Randy, Gene Oliver. You saw it all the other night. You know, we got along real well. We had a good time together. We enjoyed the game of baseball.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Patterson.
Well, you look at, your numbers. The most astounding number to me, out of all your numbers, your 426 home runs, your 2,711 hits. But the one that really stands out to me is 1,117 games played in a row.
Yeah, Cal Ripken who?
Yeah.
But it was fun. I made baseball fun. When you start, I was a rookie and I came up to the big league and wasn't hitting. I was taking out a lineup. And I said to myself, when I get back in the lineup, I'm going to play till they tie the uniform off. In the first few years, I was scared of my job. I didn't want nobody to take my job.
Right.
And then you get to the point where your baseball team can't win unless you're in the lineup. And I wanted to be there when my team won.
How did that streak end, Billy?
It just ended. We were playing in Montreal. And after about 8 years, after 17 games, I just got tired of playing. I know I wasn't going from first to third. Maybe I stopped from time to time to second base. And I wanted to do things to help my ball club win. I wasn't doing that. So we talked about it in Montreal. And when I got back to Chicago, well, in Montreal, Leo said, we're going to break the streak when we get back to Chicago. And I came back to Chicago, and when I first came to the clubhouse, my name wasn't in the lineup, and Joe Malfitano came up and told me, said, you can go back home if you want to. I'll tell you, when I wasn't in the lineup, I was between the clubhouse, the dugout, the bullpen, because I thought, I had mixed emotion about doing it. But after the game was over, I felt fine, and I got back in the game, and, I swung the bat real well.
Good at bat continues for Patterson. Boy, Billy, you have to be proud of the progress this young man has made in a very short period of time.
Really. When we first signed him, he made some great progress, and then he started to go backwards a little bit. But I think when we was out in Arizona, he found some stuff at the plate. And he's been doing a pretty good job. This is the one individual we was worried about in spring training, whether or not he could be an everyday baseball player and play center field. He's done a tremendous job. I see him moving Sammy and moving Alou in the outfield, because I told him center field in charge, you got to take charge.
That went off the end of his bat. He skies it into left center field. Giles and Hermanson nearly collide. And the center fielder Hermanson makes the grab, and that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Top of the Pirate order will face Mark Pryor for the second time when we come back for the third.
The official monthly magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Fine Line offers its readers exclusive player features, team analysis, and unparalleled minor league coverage every month. Subscriptions start at just $22.95. Call 800-248-9467 to order Fine Line today.
Well, Chad Hermanson didn't follow the Hollywood script of Mark Pryor. He hit a 3-2 pitch up the middle and made Pryor go to the stretch the first time in the big leagues.
Well, each time Mark Pryor go out there, I think he relaxed a little bit more. Because certainly when you come to the major league, you have those jitters. And I don't care. He said he'd been in great competition, but coming to the big league, pitching in the big league, under about 50, 60,000 people that are going to watch him play. Here in Chicago, you get about 36, 37,000 people.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And that didn't miss by much. But miss it did, apparently. 2-2 is your count. Billy, how long as a hitter did it take you to feel like you had a pretty good idea of what the pitcher's stuff was when you're seeing him for the first time?
Well, it takes me, hopefully I could see his repertoire the first time up at the plate. If he throw a fastball, curveball, whatever he throws. But I think after the third time, each time you go up to the plate, you should have him figured out. But I think the third time up, because in those 2 times, those 3 times, you probably would have seen all of his pitches.
And it's pretty basic with this guy, isn't it, Dave? I mean, there's nothing fancy. It's just very simple, very fluid. Boom, here's the baseball.
Really jumps out of his hand, and then also with that breaking ball, you saw that to Chad Hermanson, that tight rotation, difficult to pick up. That's a hammer. Billy, you've seen a few hammers in your day.
Yes, I have. And when you talk about hammers, you talk about a guy like Koufax, Sandy Koufax. He had one of the best hammers. Fastball and curveball. And we always talked about, when you could read his pitches. I remember the night he pitched 1965 when he pitched a no-hitter. That particular night, Beckett hit second, I hit third, and as Beckett was walking back, as Sandy Koufax struck Beckett out, he was walking back, and Sano asked him what he had, and Beckett said he got nothing.
Let me ask you this: who had more hits against Koufax, you or Sano?
I did a thing out in Los Angeles the other day, and Lou Johnson, a lady was there with a buck, and I hit almost 270 off of Koufax, hit 2 home runs. I was surprised as hell myself.
As we kid Ronnie all the time. We say, Ronnie, did you ever get any hits off Sandy Koufax? And he gets his look on his face like.
The one guy was at the banquet the other night. Every time the Cardinals, Atlanta played the Dodgers, Oliver.
Gene Oliver?
Oliver normally hit Koufax real good.
Wow. Breaking ball. See you later. That's 5 for Pryor. And he's throwing the whole kitchen sink at him right now, Dave. He's got his repertoire humming.
Well, no question with that breaking ball, which leads me to question, how would you hit Sandy Koufax breaking ball? Between the seams?
I tell you, it's a thing. He was one of those 12-6, and sometimes he throw the curveball so much it act like a screwball. It goes away from him. But it was tough. I've seen guys break bats hitting the ground balls trying to hit the curveball.
Wow. Brian Giles struck out looking his first time up. When you were reminiscing about old Forbes Field, it brings to mind that Giles had an inside the park home run last night. That was his first in his career. But what is so surprising is, in the grand history of the Pittsburgh Pirates, that was the 614th inside the park home run as an organization they've had.
Well, that's because of the big ballpark in Pittsburgh. The ball get on the side of the cage. If Bill Burton or somebody come in and try to make a shoestring catch, the outfielder going to have to go about 480 feet to pick up the ball. It was a long way out there.
And if you dive and miss.
If you dive and miss, that's an inside the park home run.
So Giles with a base hit to right. That's his 4th hit of the series. It again brings up Ramirez, who took a breaking ball for strike 3 his first time up. A lot of excitement at the ballpark. Cubs looking for a spark, trying to put together a good solid run of a week's worth of baseball. They've got a 2-1 lead here very early in Mark Pryor's first big league game.
Pretty good breaking ball right there.
It really is true. The hitter will tell you how the pitcher's pitching much more than the pitcher will.
That's right. The way he swung at that breaking ball right there, it tells you he got a pretty good breaking ball.
Exactly. Because his rear end was in that third base dugout, wasn't it?
1 strike to Ramirez, instead to first. Cubs 7-15 here at home. Trying to win for the 9th time in 26 games against the division. That's what has to worry you the most of all. With so many games within the Central, the Cubs have dug themselves a big hole, not just in the National League, but within the division. These are games that come August and September, you're really going to wish you had back, especially the way that some of them were lost in such close fashion.
When you lose games in April by 1 run or something you did at that baseball game, they always come back and haunt you.
2 strikes to Ramirez. And he is still alive. Cubs trying to gain ground on the Reds. Reds not complying. Cincinnati just put 4 on the board in the 5th. They lead the Marlins 4-0. Todd Walker has hit a home run off Ryan Dempster of Florida. And you're right, David. I think the Reds are for real. They're playing great. Runner goes on the 0-2, and that's in the dirt. No chance for Girardi. Giles steals his 5th base of the year.
Pryor right there, after Giles went in motion the pitch before, tried to shorten his delivery just a little bit. But on 0-2, as a runner, you're probably anticipating the breaking ball. Gets a good jump from first base. And even if Girardi fields that ball cleanly behind the plate, it'd be difficult to throw Giles out.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner in scoring position for Ramirez, and again he fouls it away. Mets trail at Philadelphia 5-2. The Phillies pulled off a trade today. They sent John Mabry to the Oakland A's for Jeremy Giambi. So Oakland is Giambi-less now. And the A's, boy, they've really shaken up their roster. They sent Frank Menechino, Carlos Pena, and Jeff Tam to AAA. That might shake up that ball club. They have really struggled out of the gate, but they won today 7-6 at home over Baltimore. 1-2 to Ramirez. Good at bat.
Carlos Pena was a young, promising prospect with the Texas Rangers, and when I saw him out in Arizona, I thought he was going to have a good year. Matter of fact, the first couple, 2 or 3 games, he hit a game-winning home run. I thought he was going to be all right in the major league, but sometimes, you know, the second time around, if you play in a team and they find you out, it's constant adjustment on the big league level. You always have to make adjustments.
Again, the 1-2. Elsewhere in baseball, Braves are leading in Montreal 2-0. Tom Glavine's going for his 7th win of the year. Milwaukee and the Dodgers are scoreless after 2. And the Cardinals just tied the Astros 1-1 in the 2nd. Roy Oswalt against Darryl Kyle in St. Louis. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Ramirez. 2-1 Cub lead. And he strikes out the side for the first time in the big leagues. Mark Pryor takes care of Ramirez. He struck out 6 through 3. And he maintains a 2-1 lead.
Right before the game.
And why did you decide on the Pryor jersey?
Oh, because he's a great player and he's the best player in the franchise ever had.
All righty, you heard it here. Adam's got the jersey and he thinks Mark Pryor's going to do big things. Chip and Dave, let's send it back to you.
I don't know about the best player the franchise ever had. The guy's been in the major leagues barely long enough to bake a loaf of bread, for crying out loud.
They bought the jersey already.
Boy, how quickly they forget, Billy. What's up with that?
I know it. I tell you one thing, Mark Pryor knew he was going to be here because he made a commercial out in Arizona. He said, when I take my Lexus to the ballpark in Arizona or here in Chicago.
Look at Sammy on low, deep
Beautiful.
to right center. A towering home run by Sosa. His 2nd in as many days. And that's like he dropped the accelerator to the floor of one of those Lexuses.
Well, when Sammy hitting the ball that way, he's staying on the baseball because over the years he drove the ball to right field pretty good.
Well, and I really think that home run got him going last night against Josh Fogg. Sammy with the 17th home run of the year, and in only 10 at-bats against Williams. Sammy's got 3 long ones against Mr. Williams.
Maybe got his number, huh?
Yeah, he's in his book.
Yeah.
I know you got your book.
Oh, yeah, I keep it around.
You keep it around?
Yeah, I keep it around.
17 home runs, 28 batted in for Sosa.
Well, yeah, you know, the strangest thing, when I played here, Fergie was a pitcher, and I played left field for so many games behind Fergie when I went to the major league. And I'm playing with the Oakland A's. Fergie pitched a 2-hitter, and I was the only one to get the hits. And I said, if I had known you were going to pitch a 2-hitter, I gave you those while you have a no-hitter.
Yeah, shoot. McGriff pops this one up left side. It really was funny, too, the last couple of years, as Wilson puts the screws on that. Watching Sammy Sosa hit his home runs in games that Kerry Wood would pitch. Now we see him doing it in a game that Mark Pryor is pitching.
I don't know how many home runs Sammy has hit when Kerry Wood pitching. I think because of excitement, you know. When Kerry pitches, Sammy normally hit a home run. I don't know how many he hit, but all the time seemed like when Kerry is on the mound, the excitement of Kerry Wood pitching, Sammy has hit a lot of home runs and gave Kerry, you know, some big runs.
Moises Alou flying to right and is 0 for 1 on the day.
And did you ever feel, and I think there's some truth to this, Billy, when you have someone like Kerry Wood, when you come to the ballpark on those particular days when Woody's pitching, or John Lieber, you have a different feeling coming to the ballpark, don't you?
Well, you do. It's kind of similar to when Fergie Jenkins was a pitcher. After winning 20 games 6 years in a row here, every time he came or every time we had to play a big game, with Fergie on the mound, you was pretty sure you was going to win that game, and you did everything to help him win, because he was a guy that go out there and give you 9 innings. He wanted to stay out there, and he was a guy, a great competitor.
There's a line drive into the right field corner. That's Moises Alou. Well, when he hits the ball, it has an unmistakable sound, and he's going to gallop all the way to third as the ball skipped past Makoviak. We'll see how it's scored. Should be a triple, and if it is, it'll be his first.
Well, this is a pretty good game plan right now by the Cubs. We saw Joe Girardi line that ball for a fly out to right field to start off this inning. Sammy going the other way to right center, and now Moises Alou looking for that fastball out over the plate, and he hits his first triple of the year.
Well, this is really good. You know, when you got a tailing fastball pitcher on the mound, and I always try to look, if I had a right-handed pitcher on the mound with a tailing fastball, I look middle plate away. And I think that's what those hitters did. They look middle away because he have a good changeup too. You cover 2 pitches, you stay on the fastball, and you hit his changeup.
Until he can prove that he can get the ball inside like he does
like
right
he did
here.
just then.
Bill Miller flips the bat away in disappointment as Alou is left stranded. But what a night in Chicago. Mark Pryor debuting. He struck out 6. Sosa's hit a home run again, and the Cubs have a 3-1 lead.
Then eventually scored the first run of the game. Way to go, pal.
It's funny how Dave and I are good when these guys are scoring runs, but Joe got on base, he scored a run, he's been handling Pryor excellent. Dave, what do you have?
Boy, clicking on all 4 cylinders right now, Mike Bilecki, and one of my keys, get comfortable early, and Mark Pryor has certainly done that. And it's amazing too when you go out on the mound, and Billy, I'm sure your first big league game, I don't know about you, but when I stood on that mound for my first big league game, it was just, my hair was on fire. And he is calm and cool.
Yeah, 7 strikeouts. The last 5 outs he's gotten have come via the strikeout. 1 away in the Pirate 4th. Let's peek at tonight's Aflac trivia question. We'll see if Billy has the answer for this one. Who was the last Cub to throw a complete game shutout in his major league debut?
I think I know that.
We said his name earlier in the telecast. That's the only hint we're going to give you. 1 away for Kendall, hit by a pitch his last time up. Not only is this game generating a whole lot of interest around the country, but Jeff Weaver of the Tigers has a no-hitter through 7 innings. As they face the Indians, they're now in the top of the 8th inning. And he's 1 out away from taking it into the 9th. He's thrown 103 pitches at Comerica Park.
You know, talking to some hitters about Jeff Weaver, he's not filthy. He's dirty. He's got great stuff.
He might be traded too. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's all. 1 and 2.
I think Pryor began to settle in now. You know, we got him some runs, and he's gotten comfortable on the mound, so he's getting all his pitches over now.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Kendall. And there's a little tapper to short. That ought to be easy. 2 out.
You know, there were a couple of players in Double-A that faced Mark Pryor from the San Diego organization, and after the game, these players who have never played in the big leagues yet went up to Ted Simmons, who's in the front office for San Diego, and they asked him, "Hey, Ted, is that what it's like to hit in the big leagues, facing a guy like this
every day?"
And Ted goes, "No, this is something a little bit different."
A little bit different there.
I think we're watching a pretty special pitcher on that mound.
You know, when you talk about Pryor, you talk about Woods, you talk about Lever, you talk about Cruz, so you're starting to get some pitchers in the big league now, and this is why winning games start with the pitching on the mound out there, so it's looking good.
And assuming everybody stays healthy, you're looking at a cornerstone of 3 starters. We're all less than 25, 26 years old.
They're pitching the big league a long time, you know, if they stay healthy. But with Mark, you see you know, how he pitches, you know, he's throwing the ball real easy.
Easy cheese.
Ball 3 high, 3 balls and a strike. His uniform number's 22, but that ball comes out of there more like a 45, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Swung on it high in the air, center field. Patterson back on the warning track. He reaches up, makes the catch, and that retires the side. Young hit it hard, but hit it to straightaway center, and Pryor works a scoreless fourth. His major league debut.
It was Pico, Jeff Pico. I was here for that game. He pitched real well. 4-0 shutout against Cincinnati in 1988. Good pitcher.
Throw a shutout in your debut, you bet.
Yeah.
He's a good pitcher. Here's Bobby Hill. He takes a strike from Dave Williams, who gave up his 9th home run this year. It was a solo shot to Sosa, and the Cubs with a 3-1 advantage. Now, Billy, we're going to go back in time a little bit. We're going to show the entire Western world the picture that made Shirley realize that she just couldn't live life without you.
No, what is it?
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 and 2 your count. Here it is. Look at that handsome man.
Look at that.
That's at Scottsdale.
That's Scottsdale, old Scottsdale
Now this
Stadium.
one.
Now here's a picture. See the bow tie there? Here's a picture there. That picture there is what Richie Allen, 1972, when we both was named. Well, Richie was the most valuable player, and I was the player of the year in Chicago area. So we took a picture there. That was in the program that night. But the old tuxedo.
Bobby Hill tries to out the baseball, and it's off the glove of Young. And Hill is going to reach. And let's see how this is scored. Kind of surprised Kevin Young didn't try to tag Bobby Hill just in case. He was inching a little bit towards second base on that play, but no tag, and now he's perched atop the pillow, so no damage done.
And the whole key here is Bobby Hill to outrun it and force Williams to make the throw.
Well, that's what you get from Bobby Hill. You know, he got the speed. He could get down the line pretty good, and he's going to make a lot of players make those kind of mistakes.
And we're waiting for Bob Rosenberg to make his official scoring decision over there. And it's an error on Kevin Young. Billy, anytime you're in our booth, you can second guess Bob Rosenberg as much as you want.
No, that was the error right there. I think, you know, Bobby Hill gonna get some hits, but that was an error.
Well, you know the old adage too, and that's what I like about this Cubs ball club, Billy and Chip. Speed has no slumps.
No.
And all of a sudden you have some speed in that lineup, particularly with guys like Corey Patterson and Bobby Hill.
Billy, is there any talk in that Cub clubhouse, and I know you're not around the team when we're on the road, but is there any talk at all amongst the guys that you talk to, any sort of a correlation between the team's drop off in wins to the fact that you're not coaching first base anymore?
I've heard that so many times everywhere I go. But I just think the one thing that we haven't been doing is swinging the bat. You can see, everybody can see, but I think once we start hitting, swinging the bat, we're going to score some runs and win some ball games like we're doing tonight. I think we excited about Pryor being up here. We swinging the bat real well. It was a good session in batting practice today. I was standing around the cage, and everybody feel pretty good about the team. Nobody has given up, and I think this is, you have a veteran club here, and I think they feel that you have a long season, and the season just not over today. You know, they got to play 162 ball games, and I think the players really feel that they could put a streak together and go and win some ball games.
First stolen base in the career of Bobby Hill, by the way, as he's at second. Remember, Williams has not gotten out of the 4th inning in a long time. So this is the 4th. Bullpen up for Pittsburgh. They got another lefty up and working at the moment. Any regrets, Billy, about not being in uniform on a full-time basis? I know you've served a long term here with the Cubs as a player and a coach.
Well, Chip, after 50 years, I decided to move on because, you know, I've done it enough. I've traveled many years, and I wanted to spend some time to see my grandson play. I know that he's playing Little League now. From time to time, I bring him out here at Wrigley Field, and I want to give him support because, you know, he looked like he's going to be a good athlete, and whatever he chooses, he play football, basketball, and baseball. hopefully he played basketball where he could have a built-in instructor.
Now, I think all of us sometimes forget that without the backbone at home, you wouldn't be able to do what you've been able to do professionally. How's Shirley handling you being around all the time?
She's handling it real well because, you know, like many years I've been traveling. It seemed like we've been married 42 years, so we've only been married 21 years. Yeah. So we're having a lot of fun. The grandkids keep us going. We enjoy life, and like we was over in Milwaukee, you know, when we're close around, I could take some trips if I want to, but I just decided to spend more time at home around the family, and of course enjoy the grandkids a little bit more.
Would you envision any other opportunity to get back in the game of baseball, or have you turned the page completely on that, or can you ever do that?
Well, I don't know if I could turn the page or not, because baseball is my life. I signed to play baseball, you know, 2 days after I finished high school. I was on my way to Ponca City, and baseball has been my life. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I'm still enjoying it, but you know, to turn my back on a profession that I've enjoyed so many years, that I've liked, I've loved, and I still enjoy. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. I come out to the ballpark, I talk to the players, I work with some of the outfielders in the outfield, I hit fly balls and stuff like this. So I'm still a part of it, and I'm still enjoying it.
And Billy, you get to hit the golf course, and you know it took you 18 years to get 2,711 hits. You can do that one afternoon now. Huh?
I know it. If you play on a golf course like Butler, you know, we played out there the other day. I hit the ball a long way, but long way sideways.
Often.
But Ernie, myself, and Joe Carter played. Joe Carter's a good golfer.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, how about this? With the man on second base, Bobby Hill on second base, the Cubs sacrificed Hill over to third base. And normally, you know, with the pitcher up, you're just taking your hacks. Instead, you know, the way Pryor has been able to swing the bat in the minor leagues, Don Baylor's saying, hey, let's take a shot here with the man on third, and Pryor trying to get him in from third.
Well, this is a different attack here.
Funny hop. Pokey Reese handled it. 2 outs.
You don't normally see this. You know, you're sacrificing where the pitcher could hit the baseball and, you know, drive in a run. But because Pryor, the good athlete he is, you know, his pass, you know, hitting the home runs, and Baylor saw him out in spring training. You know, he swings the bat real well, so we were taking a chance on scoring another run for him.
Just a beautiful, beautiful night here in Chicago. Finally, guys, spring arrived today, it appears.
This is really nice. You know, it's not too hot and not too cold. I think the players are enjoying this particular day. It was good all day. The sun was out, and this is just a nice day to play baseball.
Patterson up the middle. Wilson at short. Good play, good throw, and that'll retire the side. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left. We head to the Pittsburgh 5th. Mark Pryor with 7 strikeouts, and the Cubs lead it 3-1. A home run. And Pryor with 73 pitches through 4 innings has to get through this 5th with the lead to qualify for a major league victory in his first major league start. Pokey Reese, then the pitcher spot, then Chad Hermanson for the Pirates. Don't want to get too caught up in over-analyzing Pryor's performance tonight. That's for all the writers, the talk show pundits, and baseball tonight to do, but you've got to figure that Pryor is going to get better and better and better.
This is true, Chip. I think when he made it to the major league, I know that he talked about it yesterday in his press conference. He's pitching a lot of big ball games, but I think the one thing he got to do now is learn the hitters. I think when he started learning the hitters, who could hit that fastball in, who could hit the fastball away, this when he become a better pitcher. I think the best thing that's going tonight that he got Joe Girardi behind the plate, and he just playing catch with Joe Girardi. Anything he put down, he's going to throw the pitch.
Reese scalds that to center. Patterson, dead run, still going. What a catch! Hey, that's like the whistle used to do it. 1 out in the 5th.
You know, did you see Corey Patterson? You know, he read the ball off the bat, and then he put it into a different gear.
He did. You know, like Lou Brock when he played out there. You know, Lou was fast. He made a lot of mistakes as an outfielder, but his speed caught up with the pitch. Yeah.
And with that speed, you can run down some mistakes, can't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what he does.
How about Pryor giving himself a pep talk? And Williams hits with one out. He's down a couple of runs. Billy, one of the criticisms that fans have about this Cub team is that the perception is it doesn't have a whole lot of fire. It doesn't have a whole lot of guys on it that are going to kick over a water cooler or throw the bubble gum or rip a base out in frustration. I don't know what that has to do with winning or losing ball games, but is that a fair assessment of this team?
It's a fair assessment, but it doesn't have anything to do with winning and losing. I know you got a guy on first base, McGriff. He's not going to say too much. He's just going to go out and do his action on the field. You know, he swings the bat real well. I think the one guy, you know, if it comes from anybody, it'd probably come from a guy like Joe Girardi, who is a catcher, been behind the plate. But it's a fair assessment of this ball club. You have a lot of guys, professional players, but it's certainly not like the '69 ball club when we had Santo, myself, Beckett, Huntley. We all got on each other.
Santo screaming himself if he went 4 for 5 for crying out loud. By the way, with that strikeout, that ties the team rookie record in a major league debut. That's 8 strikeouts for Pryor, who has since retired 6 consecutive men in the ball game.
It's just like when you talk about chemistry on a ball club. You know, when you start winning some baseball games, you get closer together, and that brings the chemistry on. I think winning brings chemistry.
And to add to that thought, Billy, I've seen ball clubs, and certainly you've been part of it, where you go through a losing streak, and you can go one of 2 ways when you go on that losing streak.
Right. Your
team can separate, or by losing those games early on, that can bring a ball club together when you come out of that slump.
It really can, Dave, and I think you know what has happened, what the team should do, you know, when they was losing those games, just get together in the clubhouse, and I think they did that. Just talk about what they could do to help the ball club win more ball games. And I imagine in those meetings you have several players talking about, you know, what they could do, and it brings out a lot in those meetings. Just a closed-door meeting with the ball team, and as you say, it could go either way. And I think the team just left here, Milwaukee Braves. I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers, they came over here, and I think they had a meeting before they played us, and they beat us 3 in a row. I don't know whether the meeting was the cause of it, but they did have the meeting.
Walk number 2 from Pryor. Hermanson's aboard with 2 men out for Jack Wilson, who has sacrificed and has been caught looking. Congratulations to Mike Trenery from Chicago. He's won lunch for 8 from White Hen. If you'd like to enter the White Hen Wednesdays contest, log on to the email address that you will see on your screen shortly, or mail a postcard to Fox Sports Net. Tune in every Wednesday as we pick a new weekly winner. Wilson 0 for 1. This guy's a spunky little player. They got him from the Cardinals a couple of years ago. And talking with Lloyd McClendon about him, said he's a dirtbag. Now, he didn't mean it the way it sounded. He meant to say he's a dirt dog. He's not afraid to get in there and do the dirty little jobs that need to get done to help you win games.
Well, you got to have those kind of players. The guy sliding hard at second base to break up a double play. And I remember when you talk about that, the San Francisco Giants had a guy by the name of Dirty Al Gallagher, who was a player that played third base, and every time you look at him, his uniform was dirty. And you knew he slid hard into second base, and he made the plays at third base. Dirty Al Gallagher. We always remember that name.
Well, this guy and Pokey Reese have made quite a tandem up the middle for the Pirates. They turned a great double play against the Cubs, you'll recall, up at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. And Wilson, a young player, around whom the Pirates are going to try to grow. Strike 2 over the outside corner. Not a whole lot you can say has gone badly for Pryor tonight. 8 strikeouts, 2 walks. He's allowed only 3 hits. He's hit a batter, and he's given up 1 run. That's it.
That's a good move right there to go over to first base. And the one thing I noticed with Hermanson on first base, he's keeping his wits about him a little bit, trying to control the running game. The pitch before this, he held the ball for just that little bit extra, trying to get that runner out of his rhythm, because this is a running situation right here.
2 strikes, runner not going, and it's into the seats. Again, standing room only tonight on our producer Bob Albrecht's 46th birthday today.
Well, what you do as a pitcher, you know, to break up the rhythm. You slide step, you hold the ball, and you do everything you can to get the timing, you know, bring the timing where the runner won't get the timing at first base. And this is what Pryor's doing.
2 strikes. Driven into right field. Sosa is there, and Pryor's qualified for his first major league win. Boy, it's been a workmanlike performance. Very simple and very, very effective. What a treat.
Mercedes-Benz dealer.
Cubs look to pad a 3-1 lead with Joe Girardi, Sammy Sosa, and Fred McGriff up. Mark Pryor has lived up to the lofty expectations with a very, very solid performance. And here in the 5th, it's our Toyota fan of the game inning, Alex Seaver of Rockford, Illinois, is tonight's contestant. If the Cubs score here in the 5th, Alex wins a Fox Sports Net Toyota prize package, including a hat and a t-shirt. Girardi, line drive, caught at second by Pokey Reese. Real good play by the former Cincinnati Gold Glover. 1 up, 1 down for Sammy Sosa. Billy, you were in the locker room for the Cubs so many years while Sammy Sosa was making this incredible climb from being a very good ball player to maybe one of the best that we will ever see as far as power is concerned. What is it about Sammy, something that the fans wouldn't know about him, that is so instrumental as to how he is so successful?
I think the one thing that that Sammy, you know, when Sammy first came here, you know, he always worked. When he was over with the White Sox, I think he got a chance to play his 17 home runs. But one of the most important things with Sammy has made himself a good baseball player, because he go in the cage and he worked. In the outfield, he worked. And everybody talked about the 5-2 player that he should be. And of course, from time to time, I mentioned it to him. And so he works in the outfield. Last year, it was one of his better defensive years in the outfield. So I think the one thing, he wanted it so bad, you know, and he worked at it. He's a guy that go out and whatever he got to do, he does it.
Pulled foul by Sosa, 2 balls, 2 strikes. How about that catch he made in Milwaukee the other day? That might be the most incredible play I've ever seen.
It really was. It's a game saver. You know, when you got a player like Sammy Sosa, who, you know, a lot of focus been on the past years with his bat. You know, we know that he could hit the home run, but I think the one thing he's doing now is making himself a complete baseball player by making those kind of catches, by throwing people out at, you know, different bases. So I think right now he's at a stage now he find that many people come through the turnstile to see him as a baseball player, and he don't want nobody to leave this baseball park, you know, not recognizing the play that he does. He wants to satisfy everybody that come in to see him play baseball.
He takes the walk, which is the main reason I think he's become such a great hitter. That's the pitch that would strike him out a couple years ago.
This is true. When he first came over here from the White Sox, you know, he was a young player, aggressive player. And at times he was aggressive out of the strike zone. Now he's aggressive in the strike zone.
A lobo, as Dave calls it.
A lobo. Yes.
He's really a low ball. He hit the low ball real good. But this is a young player. You know, when you're aggressive like Sammy was when he came with the ball club, he wanted to do so well. And from time to time he went out of the strike zone. It's the same like Sean Dunson when he first came over here with the Cubs. He was a player that he was aggressive at the plate, and he's swinging a lot of bad balls. He struck himself out many times.
What are your thoughts on this? A young player coming up and, you know, super aggressive at the plate. I don't like to see coaches or whomever take the bat out of a player's hand and not have him be aggressive. I think Sammy had to learn as he went along, you know, be aggressive, but at the same time, he eventually learned.
I think this is what you want in a player, you know, aggressive player like a Sammy Sosa or like a Sean Dunson. You want the player to come in to be aggressive. I remember many years ago when, you know, we used to work out just before we left to go to spring training. Henry Aaron, myself, Tommy Aaron, my brother Franklin. We would work out and we'd go sit in the stands and talk about hitting. And Aaron always said that don't let the ball come to you. Go out and get the baseball. And that's about being aggressive. You go out and hit the baseball. You can't teach aggressive. You want that particular player to be aggressive. I think as he learned the pitches, as he learned what they throw, he'll become a good hitter.
2-0 pitch to McGriff. Dances across. 2 balls and a strike. Cubs have a couple of potential Hall of Famers in the lineup in Sosa and McGriff. McGriff, a borderline Hall of Famer. He's 26th on the home run list. He's 50th on the RBI list. He's got a World Series championship, and he's got a base hit to right. 2 men are on, 1 man is out. So much talk too, Billy, about the new rules for the Veterans Committee, and I'm sure we all have a pretty good idea of the answer to this, but why isn't Ron Santo in the Hall of Fame already? I think a lot of people would be interested in your thoughts on that, and in your heart of hearts, should he be and will he be?
Sure, I think he should be. I've played many years behind Ron Santo in the outfield, and of course, playing third base, I've seen Ronnie make some great plays at third base. And this year, we'll get a chance to vote, as Fergie said the other night at the banquet. And he have 3 guys, Ernie, myself, and Fergie, certainly going to get the vote from us. But I think a lot of people say because we have 3 guys in the Hall of Fame and never won a pennant here in Chicago. But I don't think that should be the reason. I think Santo played good baseball. He was an outstanding player. He got 6, 8 gold gloves.
5 gold gloves, 9-time All-Star. Oh.
He's done everything in the game that you should see a player do.
I guess what is going to be, some say, helpful for Ronnie is that the vote will be now made by his peers, people that saw him play, whereas people my age and younger who may be sports writers or have a Hall of Fame vote, and I don't, but the baseball writers covering the teams now knew Ron Santo and see his name in the baseball encyclopedia, but never saw how instrumental he was to the success your ball club had.
They really haven't, Chip. Santo was a great player, and I think the baseball writers now, you normally get 10 years in baseball, write baseball, to get a chance to vote. And I think a lot of people, because we were never in a postseason play, I think a lot of guys didn't get a chance to see him play. But playing left field and see the plays that he made at third base, the outstanding player that he was.
There's a bullet up the middle by Arlou. Williams knocked to the ground. Around third will come Sosa. Hermanson drops the ball. McGriff takes third. And how about this? 3, 4, and 5 really clicking tonight. Those 3 men have been on base, Billy, 7 times in 3 at-bats.
Well, this is why Andy McPhail went out and got Alou, where he could be right there with Sammy and McGriff. And what they're doing tonight, this is what we expected all year. And I think, they begin to come around. Lou swinging the bat real well. But going back to Ron Santo, I think, when we were at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and we talk about players should be in the Hall of Fame, when we talk about Ron Santo, Brooks Robinson, who's a guy that played great third base, and he always agreed, that Santo is a player that should be in the Hall of Fame. But I really think because we was never in postseason play. A lot of people get a chance to vote. Haven't seen Ron Santo play third base. I know.
Valone was the man that was sent out of the rotation and into the bullpen when Chris Benson came back from his arm problems. And we will see Chris Benson in the series finale tomorrow afternoon here in Chicago. But the way Williams has continued to struggle, Valone might find himself back in the rotation if he can perform well over the last several innings of today's game.
And Valone only making his 3rd relief appearance of the year, 10th appearance overall, and really started out well for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Opening day starter for the Buccos, and now back in that bullpen. And Pirates right now have 3 left-handers down there, and you're certainly right. Dave Williams, really his 4th poor outing in a row for him. Pirates might put Valone back in that rotation.
1st and 3rd for the Cubs. 1 out, 1 in. Sosa scored 3 of the 4 Cub runs. Joe Girardi has scored the other. And Bill Miller will try to get it past the pitcher. He's tapped back to the mound twice. Boy, that'll drive you nuts as a hitter, won't it?
The one thing you do when you hit a ball like that, you have to run so hard on first base. And a lot of guys, when you come back in the dugout, the one thing they say, a grown man hit that ball. They go about 3 feet in front of home plate.
Fred McGriff, 2 hits, 2 RBIs tonight. Sosa, a homer, 3 walks. Alou has tripled, he's singled, he's knocked in a run. So the middle of the order, which had been performing so inconsistently, has come through tonight. That ball driven to right. Good catch out there by Makoviak. McGriff will tag and score. It's a sac fly and an RBI, and it's a 5-1 Cub lead. Good at bat by Miller.
No question. 7th RBI of the year. Not only a great at bat by Billy Miller, but that run was scored because of Fred McGriff on that base hit by Moises Alou. Fred McGriff was on first base, and he challenged Hermanson in center field and got all the way to third base to set up this sacrifice fly.
Well, when you're up by 4 runs, you could take a chance on that. You know, he got to throw you out at third base. So he might not take that chance. He might just go ahead and throw the ball in second base. But if you're off and running like McGriff was, you can make it to third base.
Bobby Hill rolls it to third. Ramirez goes the short way, and that retires the side. Billy Williams, our time was too short. Great to see you. Thanks for spending some time with us. You got us at Mark Pryor to this point. We'll sum it up. And Giles hits a towering fly ball deep to left center field, and that one is gone over the basket. Brian Giles hits his 9th home run of the year, and that makes it a 5-2 game. What do you know, Dave? Billy Williams leaves, Tyson Chandler shows up, and the other guys score a run.
My goodness, Tyson.
Man, I didn't mean to bring the bad luck in here.
Tell you what, Tyson, you got a pretty big strike zone. Huh?
I'm knock him out, though.
Oh,
if
really?
I came in there, I'll home runs all day.
Oh, man.
Tyson Chandler will join us for a couple of innings tonight as we keep a Chicago flavor to our special guest in the booth tonight. It's not nothing personal. It's not particularly special because we have somebody in the booth just about every night, but we're glad you're here. Although, got to get rid of the Twins hat. We got to get you a Cubs hat.
See, this is a Tyson Chandler hat. I had to explain that to everybody coming inside. The TC is.
All right. We'll accept that explanation. How'd the rookie year go?
Good. It went really good. You know, we finished off pretty well, and you know, we're really looking forward to next season.
And he got the number 2 pick.
Yeah, that really helps. You know, coming in the next year.
Who do you want to see the Bulls pick?
I don't know. It's a lot of talent out there. You know, especially with the first couple of picks. You know, having that high of a choice. You know, you're going to get a good player no matter what. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing who they choose to come in.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Aramis Ramirez. The Cub bullpen starts to get busy. You know, with the adrenaline pumping for Pryor, this is the time you start to worry about a young pitcher getting a little tired.
Sure, and he's about at 95 pitches. And certainly not going to go over 115 or 120. And what I like right there, not so much, you know, you give up the home run, but what you do after giving up the home run, and Pryor records his 9th strikeout, and pretty much just here it is.
That's the 9th strikeout, as Dave mentioned, most since divisional play by a man making his major league debut. Here's Makoviak. Makoviak has walked, scored, and he has struck out swinging. He's 2 for his last 21 for Pittsburgh. Again, fastball, changeup, breaking ball, all of them have been very, very effective. Tyson, what's the thing that you take out of year 1 into year 2, and that's that it's number 1 on your page in preparation for your second NBA season, if you had to say?
It's just the knowledge of, you know, things you've learned during the course of the year. A lot of that you can, you know, put into your training and understand what you really have to work on, you know, as a young player.
And that would be?
For me, it's, you know, I got to get a lot stronger, and a lot of the stuff came with just understanding, you know, how to position myself and do certain things on the court that, you know, I wasn't expecting coming in as a rookie.
10 strikeouts. Wow. You sound like a man who's a big baseball fan, huh?
Me, I watch when I can. You know, a lot of my family loves baseball. I'm glad to see this young pitcher out here doing what he's doing.
Yeah, now, how old are you? Mark Pryor, 21 years old. Are you 20 now or 19?
I'm 19. I shouldn't be saying young, but I guess he's...
My goodness. Played in the NBA, and you probably just got your prom photos back. My goodness. You know, what impressed me about you, Tyson, this year in watching you, you can flat out run the court.
That's what, you know, I try to come in and do, especially being as light as I am. I try to have some kind of advantage over everybody else.
My goodness.
1 ball, no strikes, and that one outside to Kendall. It's 2-0. What was it like the first time you had to go in and check Shaquille?
Oh man, that's a big fella. That's a big guy. I let Eddie do all the checking. I just try to come across and get a couple blocks.
Weak side defense
Weak
helps
side
against
defense.
that in the hack-a-shack. 3 balls and a strike to Kendall. He swung at a bad ball, grounds to short, and Kendall is retired. Mark Pryor gives up the home run, strikes out the next 2, and gets a ground ball to short. Standing ovation for Pryor, who strikes out 10 in his big league debut in Chicago. 104 pitches for Mark Pryor in his major league debut. The glad hand all around. Boy, what an exciting future lies in store for that young man. He's fired 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, 4 hits, 2 walks. He hit a batter and has allowed just 2 runs tonight. Cubs leading 5-2 in the 6th, and Augie Ojeda, Chris Steins, and then the top of the order. So what a night for Mark.
Pryor might get another start.
I think it's pretty good chance that's going to happen.
My goodness, with that fastball and then that breaking ball that he threw to a bunch of hitters tonight, out of the zone. And you know, in talking with Billy Williams about that, Chip, you know how good of stuff you have when you see some of the swings from your opponent.
There's a high fly ball hit by Augie to left center field, but Hermanson gallops over and on the track makes the play for out number 1. So Steins will pinch hit. Crowd will not be happy because Pryor's taken out of the game, but he threw 104 pitches, and as we said, the Cubs will try to keep him around 100 as long as they possibly can. Baseball is littered with guys who've come up with great arms and have been ruined by throwing 130 every time out early in their career.
You know, particularly your first big league start, and you're revved up to begin with, and all you're doing is trying to throw it through a brick wall. So that takes a little bit more toll on your arm. So I think it's a good move by the Cubs, and you get a pinch hitter in Chris Steins.
And that's downstairs to Steins, hitting 194. We're going to shift gears a little bit now that Pryor's out of the game. We got some Tyson Chandler highlights to show you from his rookie season with the Chicago Bulls. And a ground ball up the middle. Wilson fields cleanly, bad throw, and Steins tagged on the way by for out number 2. Couple dunks against the Lakers. You guys handled those guys pretty well this year.
Yeah, that was an exciting game. I think that was one of the kind of turning points in my rookie season.
Tell you what, Tyson, you can flush with the best of them. Some great dunks.
Thanks.
What's the difference between the coaching style? I know I'm not asking you to knock either man, but the coaching style of Tim Floyd and Bill Cartwright. Not many rookies go through what you guys went through with that coaching change. That's never easy.
Yeah, that was a big change. I think when Coach Cartwright came in, he wanted to really get a close relationship with me and Eddie and kind of understand what we were going through as young players, because he's been through it all.
Sure,
so.
And he's a big guy like you are.
Exactly. So of course he understood that we needed a little guidance. So he came in and he made that known from the start. So that really helped me and Eddie out for the rest of the year.
No balls and 2 strikes. Big sweeping swing from Patterson, who's 0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 11 in the series to this point. Pat Mahomes will be the next pitcher for the Cubs. He'll come on in the 7th here tonight. Cubs leading 5-2 behind Sosa, Pryor, and Patterson got hit in the face. That ball went past Patterson's nose and hit him on the face on the way by. Wow. An 0-2 pitch hit Patterson in the face. That was a half-inch from disaster.
Corey Patterson is oh so fortunate because he was able to turn his head just a little bit, and that ball was able to glance off of his helmet just a little bit.
I think it caught him in the lip. See a little blood on the lip. Man, if he had turned into that ball, you're looking at an awful sight. Thank goodness he got out of the way. And obviously Vallone's not trying to hit him with 2 strikes. That ball just never broke. And it looks like David caught him, thankfully, on the upper right-hand elbow of that batting helmet. Right there.
That was close.
Going right on the visor.
Oh.
And you think Arden Shack's tough.
Man, those balls coming at you pretty fast. That's why I couldn't be a baseball player.
So Patterson's all right. He'll smile about it tomorrow. But boy, that was scary. Here's Joe Girardi, a 4-game hit streak. And he looks at a ball from Ron Vallone. Well, you get to go to New Orleans next year. You won't have to go down to Charlotte. You get to see the New Orleans Hornets.
That'll be interesting. I want to see what kind of crowd they're going to draw out there. But I'd love to go visit the city, though.
Just stay away from Bourbon Street the night before the game. If you go out afterward, that's okay. Bed check will be important when you get to the Big Easy. What's your favorite city to visit?
I enjoy, Toronto and, of course, Los Angeles, New York, some of the bigger cities. But I think those are probably my favorites.
1 ball, no strikes. And Girardi takes high with ball 2.
I think you were right about my strike zone, though.
You'd have, yeah. You got a strike zone like Otto's, man. He's 6'7" over there.
I don't think I would have hit a ball ever.
5-2. Cubs continue to lead here in the bottom of the 6th.
Did you play at all, Tyson, baseball?
I played when I was younger.
Okay.
Probably when I was around 8 inches shorter, too.
Now, when did you have your growth spurt as a kid?
I was always big. I was like 6'4" in the 6th grade.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was always a lot bigger than the average kid.
Oh, 6'4". When could you dunk?
In the 6th grade.
6th grade.
Yeah. I started getting close like after 5th grade. In the 6th grade, I can really get up there and dunk it.
Oh. Wow. The one thing that impressed me about both you and Eddie Curry, as you matured this season, both, you put on some weight, and Eddie Curry, his body, maturing. Both of you guys are still growing, and
that's what people don't understand. When Eddie, fully matures, and he still has growing to do, and he's still going to get stronger as he get older.
Right.
When that happens, it's going to be scary for the rest of the league.
All things being equal, and in this day and age, it's not fair, but it's part of the price you as a professional athlete have to pay. Take the money out of the equation. Any regrets coming out when you did?
No, I really don't, because this is where I wanted to be, and college probably, I'm sure it could have served me some good. Being coached a little longer and learning the fundamentals of the game, a little closer. But I'm happy with my decision.
And as you know, if you stick around in the NBA long enough, you might be able to buy your own college in a couple of years.
You never know.
That's right. 5-2 our score. Back with the 7th inning in a minute.
lucky ticket number drawing, or stop by the Cubs offices at Wrigley Field for a free entry form. That's Evanston and Lincoln Park Athletic Club Day at Wrigley Field on Friday, May 31st.
Pat Mahomes is on to pitch, and young Reese and then the pitcher spot due for the Pittsburgh Ball Club. Mahomes pitching for the 5th time out of the Cub bullpen. Dave Otto, Chip Carrier visiting with Bull star Tyson Chandler at the ballpark. We've got to ask you, the NBA playoffs are off and running. Any surprises for you from what you've been able to experience and see now?
I thought Dallas would give Sacramento, a little tougher run. I thought they would be in and make that series longer than it lasted.
Yeah, that's a fun team to watch, that Sacramento ball club. Goodness gracious. They fly up and down, take any shot at any time, and play no fear at all.
That's why that series was so great, with Dallas and Sacramento. Dallas does the same thing, and this is like, they're getting a shot off every 10, 15 seconds.
That's like the old NBA when I was doing it as Young walks to lead off the 7th. Teams that actually score 120 points every night, not once a week. It's changed a lot now.
Yeah, it's kind of slowed down a little. Teams are starting to play a little more defense.
So you've got Sacramento and the Lakers out west. You've got the Celtics and the Nets in the East. Now, of course, the Bulls in Eastern Conference club. What do you say the keys are now as that series tied 1-1 the rest of the way?
I think, you know, it's not going to be so much about what the Stars are going to do. The Stars are going to come out there and do what they're going to do anyway. It's the role players that really have to step up for both teams. You know, it depends on whose role player step up is going to push the other team, because that team is really close in talent.
Yeah, you saw Boston with Walker and Pierce. They had trouble scoring in Game 2. But their reserves came through and gave them a big lift, and they evened the series.
Exactly. So, you know, that's what, you know, New Jersey's going to have to do. It's going to have to be the young players, and, you know, the players coming off the bench is going to have to give them a spark.
How about Jason Kidd? How do you stop that guy in transition?
That you don't. You just try to, I don't know, maintain. The dude is fast.
Plus, he rebounds well. That's what's so scary. He grabs his own rebound and then goes 94 feet.
And he's going the same speed throughout the whole game. I mean, I seen that dude we play against come over to the bench, just you know, out of breath, and get out there and just keep going. You think he's going to slow down, but he doesn't.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Pokey Reese with Young at first base. 5-2 Cub game. Mark Pryor left the game with 104 pitches, 10 strikeouts. Sosa is homered. He's scored 3 times. Moises Alou has knocked in a run. Bill Miller has knocked in a run. Fred McGriff has knocked in a pair of runs. 2-2 to Reese. Ball 3. Come on, Pat. Full count as we've reached 9 o'clock. And how about out west? Obviously you've got the Lakers with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, and on and on and on you go. And Sacramento with Chris Webber and Stojakovic and Bibby and Christie. Man.
Yeah, that's also a showdown. I think that series depends on, you know, how healthy Shaq is going to be. I think if Shaq is healthy and he's, you know, out there at least playing, you know, 85, 90%, then the Lakers are fine. But, you know, if not, Sacramento's going to give them a scare. Not to take anything from Sacramento, because you never know. Sacramento could come out there and, you know, take the series real easily, but it's kind of hard with the big fella in there.
All right, we're going to put you on the spot. Who's going to win the West and who's going to win the East?
If I have to go with my prediction, I'll go with the Lakers in the West.
Okay.
And New Jersey, Boston is the hard to predict, but I'll have to go with Boston.
So like a 1980s revisit to the NBA Finals. So you've got the Lakers and then the Celtics meeting in a classic NBA Final. I mean, think about that. You had Kareem, you had Magic, Byron Scott, and then, of course, the big 3 for Boston: Bird, McHale, and Parrish.
Yeah, and you guys this past season, Tyson, I thought you played Boston pretty well. I saw the game that you had against them at the United Center, and you got after it.
Yeah, we got out there and, you know, played pretty tough against, you know, all teams that were above 500. And we were so young of a team, we just got to, you know, kind of put together a whole season. We played in spurts, and, you know, if we want to get to the playoffs, we have to put together one full season.
Adrian Brown pinch hits for Valone, who went an inning and a third, or an inning and 2/3, I beg your pardon. Zeros all across. He did hit a batter in his relief appearance tonight. Adrian Brown hitting .210, tries to draw the Pirates a run closer. Pittsburgh is a very weak hitting team. They have had all kinds of problems, but Brown scorches a single to right. Young around third. Sosa loads up. Throw to the plate. A little late. And it's a 5-3 game. Brown a pinch hit single. That'll bring the tying run to the plate for Pittsburgh here in the 7th.
Well, the Pirates put Kevin Young in motion on that 3-2 count. And Pokey Reese hit a ground ball double play. However, with Young in motion, was able to get to second base and move into scoring position to set up this RBI single by Adrian Brown. Good throw here from Sammy.
And Larry Rothschild out to try to settle down Mahomes. You don't want to let this thing get any closer than it already is. You'd hate to have Pryor's night spoiled by some problems in the bullpen. And this, Dave, has been an area where the Cubs do miss Kyle Farnsworth. There haven't been many opportunities to close out games late, but with the starting pitching struggling so mightily in June, the bullpens had to pitch a lot, and because they've pitched a lot, at times they've become exposed. And Right now, that is a part of the soft underbelly of this team. The bullpen isn't pitching as well as Don Baylor and Larry Rothschild would like.
And guys in unfamiliar roles, and you go back to last year, Chip, Cubs had the lead after 6 or 7 innings. This ball game is over with the likes of Kyle Farnsworth, Facero, and last year Flash Gordon.
Hermanson 1 for 2. A double play ball would be real nice. And then we'll say hi to the Hinsdale Central girls basketball team. They were the state champions in Class 2A. They'll be guest conducting our 7th inning stretch. And Tyson, before we say goodbye to you, when does training camp start? I know it seems like you just finished playing, but you guys get back at it pretty quickly, don't you?
Oh, definitely. It does seem like we just started playing. I think last year started on October 2nd, so I'm pretty sure it'll be around the same.
So the first time. Now, do you guys? I can't. Back in my days in the NBA, you'd sometimes have mini camps. Do you guys do any of that like the football teams? Or
we'll do a summer camp.
Camp
for the young players that we're gonna go play in summer league.
Are you going to play in summer league?
Yeah.
You and Eddie both?
Yes. Me and Eddie gonna play as much as we can, get as much basketball as we can in.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, we want to thank you for coming out tonight. You had a chance to see Mark Pryor, special night.
Great.
He probably was watching your debut someplace. You got to see him debut tonight. And hopefully you and Eddie and all the young players in Chicago sports will have a great long career here in the Windy City.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Great to see you again. Tyson Chandler, our pleasure. Thank you. Good luck to you and the rest of the Bulls. Close play at first, and back safely is Chad Hermanson. It's a 5-3 game. We're in the top half of the 7th inning. Five hits for the Pirates, 7 for the Cubs. Bullpen activity continues down the left field line. 2 balls and a strike. Jeff Facero. Here's the man loosening up.
And with Brian Giles in the hole right here, imagine he's getting loose for both Giles and possibly Mr. Wilson on deck.
Two and two. I think this guy's going to be a pretty good player, Chad Hermanson. Makes all the plays in the outfield. I just think that people in Pittsburgh need to just let him play. Let him play.
He's made a couple of adjustments at the plate. As you see here, he is off the plate. And that's when you really have to crowd him inside with that fastball. Because by standing that far off the plate, he is diving into the plate. And that's when you can get that fastball inside on him. And here it is.
Cubs are thinking that Brown might do some running. He's a pretty speedy player. They're hoping Hermanson can hit the ground ball at somebody here and get out of this 7th inning. Pirates with single runs in the 6th and here in the 7th, and it's out of play again. Let's get you up to date on the scoreboard. Tom Glavine goes the distance again for Atlanta. He's 7-2. He shuts out Montreal 2-0 tonight. That game at Olympic Stadium. Phillies beat the Mets 5-2. Terry Adams wins for the 2nd time. They beat Al Leiter tonight. Reds beat the Marlins 6-2, so no ground to be gained in the Central tonight. Runner goes, swing and a miss. The throw by Girardi is a little late. Mahomes strikes out Hermanson, and Brown in scoring position with 2 men out. Todd Walker, by the way, for the Reds, 2 home runs, 5 batted in, and Elmer Descends picked up the victory. Dodgers lead at Milwaukee 1-0 in the 8th. Ben Sheets against Hideo Nomo in that one. Astros over the Cardinals 2-1 in St. Louis. Julio Lugo is homered for the Houston club. Rockies 3, Padres 1 in the 3rd. Mark Kotsay a couple of hits. Mike Hampton on the mound for the Rockies. And later tonight, the Giants visit the Diamondbacks. Jason Schmidt against Miguel Batista. Wilson is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. AL scoreboard, Rangers beat the Twins 6-5. Kenny Rogers the victory. Hideki Arabu with 11 saves. Jays beat the Yankees 8-3. Former Cub prospect Eric Hinsky another home run. Oakland over the Orioles 7-6. Mike Fury, a former Cub, got the win in that game. And Girardi hit on the bare hand by that foul ball. White Sox beat the Red Sox. Wow, what a game. 2-0. John Garland and the White Sox bullpen combined on a 3-hitter at Fenway Park. Garland and Folk got it done. Garland went 8 strong innings. Tigers beat the Indians. A 1-hitter by Jeff Weaver. 2-0 the final. Royals and Angels just underway, as are the Devil Rays and the Mariners. By the way, Tampa Bay got their first complete game in 194 games yesterday when Joe Kennedy went the distance in Seattle. And the crowd hooting and hollering as a mallard duck has taken up residence at the ballpark once again. And there she goes, safely ensconced in the bushes in center field. 1-2 pitch. A little roller back to the mound. Mahomes fields cleanly, fires to first, and the inning is over. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 left. Time to stretch, time to welcome Hinsdale Central girls basketball state championship team for our 7th inning stretch.
Central.
Let's welcome Mark Pryor to Chicago. Good and loud. Here we go. On 1, on 2, on 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground. Find me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I have to get back for it. Root for the Lobbies. If they it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
If I'm getting ready for a big fight, you know, my friends might say, you know, I'm gonna come up on the weekend and hang out with you. You know, some of them have to drive a ways, you know what I'm saying? And if you had a little bit too much to drink, if you had a few too many Miller Lights, you know, make sure that, you know, you call a taxi up and say, you know, hey, yo, I'm a little faded. Why don't you come pick me up? If you're gonna drink, make sure you drink responsibly. It's a lot better than losing your own life or taking somebody else's.
Stephen Wood owns a Hyundai Santa Fe.
Compared to other SUVs in its class, I found that I got the most value for my money.
It comes with the freedom of America's best warranty.
It shows that Hyundai really stands behind the Santa Fe.
Plus a long list of standard features, including 6-speaker CD.
It's a great SUV. My friends were jealous.
The Hyundai Santa Fe at just $19,489. It's the thinking person's SUV.
Freedom is calling, yeah.
The Hyundai Santa Fe at $19,489. Your test drive is waiting.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by the Larry Roche Family Auto Group Superstores, saving you more since 1923.
Mark Pryor's big league debut tonight, Dave, a double-digit strikeout performance.
Boy, 10 punch-outs on the night with that easy cheese to go along with that breaking ball. Didn't throw too many change-ups tonight, but really didn't need to throw his change-up. Well, that's pretty effortless. Fastball and curveball from Mark Pryor.
So he's qualified for the win. We'll see if the rest of the Cub bullpen can subdue the Pirates, and Mike Fetters to work against Sammy Sosa, who's homered twice in this series and has knocked in 4 runs with 2 hits. Fetters with chronic asthma. That's why he takes that deep breath, exhales, and then stares to the mound. It may look funny, but it really does help him relax on the mound. He at times hyperventilate, and it really did affect his pitching, he said. And Sosa is retired by him here in our 7th inning. At one point, Dave, the real strength of this Pirate team wasn't their starting pitching, but their bullpen. Now those roles have really been flip-flopped with the exception of that man and Mike Williams.
Boy, Mike Fetters making his 19th appearance of the year, and what they have now is a couple veterans down in that bullpen that have been around the block a few times. Fetters, former member of the Brewers, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Chip, you mentioned that when he takes that deep breath. The other thing he does is he picks out a spot on the mound, whether it be a pebble or anything, and I love to see pitchers do that. And because sometimes as a pitcher you get lost You got this big stadium, and you're not locked in. By picking up just a pebble on the ground like that, that gets you focused. And then he picks up the target, and all you really create is that feeling of just you and the glove.
Little tunnel vision never hurt.
And he's angry at that glove.
There's a high fly ball by McGriff, right center field, but that's going to be playable for Hermanson. 2 up and 2 down. What with all the guests that were invited by our network friends in Los Angeles to the booth tonight, Dave, we really haven't had a chance to talk about the other baseball issues regarding the Cubs, and that is, number one, now that Mark Pryor is here, Scott Chasen was sent down to AAA Iowa. Secondly, the ramifications are either Juan Cruz or Jason Beret is headed to the bullpen, and I don't think we know who it's going to be yet. If you look at page 1 of the Cubs game notes, Beret is listed as Sunday's starter down in Houston.
Well, when you look at those two pitchers, certainly someone will go to the bullpen. Juan Cruz threw the ball extremely well yesterday. Jason Beret did not. However, you also have to look at who is more suited to go to that bullpen. And Jason Beret, not too much experience in the bullpen, nor Juan Cruz. However, Juan Cruz can be a pretty nice addition to that bullpen with his electric stuff.
Until Farnsworth comes back, which will be, what we understand, sometime in the first week of June. It keeps getting pushed back a bit. There's another old saying in baseball that young players, you just have to wait your turn. And Cruz might, we underline the word might, find himself in that situation. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 Alu. By the way, that game Sunday in Houston, oddly enough, no television for that game. The Astros did not want to move the game. They wanted to have one more night game before Memorial Day. And so due to ESPN's contractual deal with Major League Baseball, neither the Astros nor the Cubs can televise that game. So we'll have a Sunday off in Houston before coming back home. And going on to Pittsburgh. Full count to Moises Alou. He's got that average climbing slowly. It's up to 176. He's had a 2-hit, 1 RBI night tonight. And he's on base for the 3rd time as Fetters issues him a 2-out walk.
Well, Moises with 2 hits in this ball game. A triple in the 3rd inning going the other way. And in the 5th inning driving the ball up the middle. And both times really waited back and stayed on the ball that much longer. And I like that walk right there because he laid off a couple of nasty split finger fastballs from Mr. Fetters.
Bill Miller 0 for 2 with a sac fly tonight. And that one taken over the outside corner. Fun pitching matchup tomorrow. Matt Clement against Chris Benson. Matt's been stuck on 1 win for a while. Standing room only crowd tonight announced at 40,138. And that'll retire the Cubs in our 7th inning. On we go to the 8th. Jeff Fassero scheduled to come out of the Cub bullpen and protect a 2-run lead.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Bear Advance, where better thinking always gives you better.
Well, the Cubs have always been very cautious with their young players. They don't want them to be victims of the great hype machine that is the Chicago and national media. And Andy McPhail is tonight's Geico Direct Moment. He's trying to avoid making the kid to be the savior. And I think anybody who follows baseball long enough knows that how important starting pitching is. But a guy that is out on the field every 5th day isn't going to be the savior unless, Dave, he's a modern day Babe Ruth and can hit in between his starts. Now, that's not to say that everybody in the Cub family not happy to have Mark Pryor here. They are. But the problems that this team has had have more to do with who has been here rather than who just got here.
No question. I think that's a valid point. You're only out there once every 5th day. There's only so much you can do on your day to pitch, and Mark Pryor certainly did his job tonight, going 6 innings and only giving up those 2 runs with double-digit strikeouts in his first major league outing.
Well, if this were New York, And the media were as irrational as they can be as Giles breaks his bat. Singles leading off the 8th. That's an inauspicious start. Remember when Dwight Gooden came up? Steve Carver, the fine general manager at WGN Radio, was in New York at the time. And he said the New York press was already talking about Dwight Gooden, when he would go to Cooperstown, when he'd pick up his 300th win, when he would strike out his 1,000, 2,000, 3,000th batter. This is before he'd made a start in the major league. So you got to keep it all in perspective. One start does not a career make. But he is off to a great start here tonight. Here's Ramirez. He represents the tying run. And Fassero misfires high to him. Ramirez, 167 against left-handed pitching this year for Pittsburgh. Took a little off him. It danced over. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another lefty, Scott Sauer, back up for the Pirates. Again, Lloyd McClendon trying to stick as many lefties out there against the Cubs, knowing how badly they've struggled against southpaws this year.
The Cubs coming into this ball game only .220 against left-handed starters. However, did a number on Dave Williams. Williams gave up all 5 runs, a starter for the Buccos, and 4 1/3 innings pitched. Imagine Don Baylor and Larry Rothschild right now going over the lineup coming up. I imagine we're going to see Craig Wilson as he is in the on-deck circle.
That's why Al Fonseca's up. You'd love to see Fassero get a double play ball here if he can.
Boy, I'd really like to see Jeff Fassero, even in the count right here, take a shot with that fork ball down in the dirt.
Into the seats, 2-2.
And at least by throwing that fork ball downstairs, you have a pretty good chance of rolling one up, as Ramirez right now is not running particularly well. Giles in the series, my goodness. All of a sudden he has gotten hot.
6 for 10 with a home run, 6 RBIs. This is a man that had 3 RBIs the entire month. 2-2. Good at bat. Tell you what about Ramirez, he may not be swinging the bat particularly well right now, David, but he's making the Cubs pitchers work to get him out. That's sign of a guy that might be ready to break out of it. Hopefully it won't happen in its entirety until after Pittsburgh leaves.
Well, and that's where I'd like to, you never feel comfortable as a pitcher going to 3-2, but boy, if you could try and throw a pitch downstairs and make him swing at something out of the zone. There.
Little ground ball to short. Can they turn it? Second base 1 is all the Cubs will get. Force play takes care of Giles. You have a much slower runner at first, so that's not a bad deal. And now Wilson, who hit 7 pinch hit home runs last year, will have a chance to tie the game for the Pirates, but he won't have a chance to do it against Jeff Fassero.
Boy, on this infield, you have to charge everything. Slow infield and good feed there by Ojeda.
So out of necessity, Don Baylor will go to Antonio Alfonseca, it appears, for a greater than 1 inning save opportunity. Boy, that's become a rarity in Major League Baseball. And he will work the double switch now. Darren Lewis will come in and patrol left field as well. So Alfonseca's on for the Cubs. He'll try to pick up save number 7 when we return.
There's lots of places that you would like to see.
Fly Southwest Airlines, because friends fly free.
For romance.
Give it a chance.
Fly so you can dance.
Fly so you can cry.
Fly, cause it's America.
From sea to shining sea.
And if you fly Southwest Airlines,
your friend flies free.
Announcing Friends Fly Free from Southwest Airlines. Simply purchase a special discounted fare starting at $59 and a friend comes along for free.
You are now free to move about the country.
This is $1 million. This is a Sharpie, and this is how you can get both.
Look for specially marked packs for your chance to win up to $1 million at the Sharpie 500.
Stole from a blind guy? Well, what are you going to do for an encore there?
I think I may kick some puppies. How's that?
Life is best told over a great tasting Miller Lite at a place called Miller Time.
Did you steal that guy's dog too? Is that whose dog that is?
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Honda of Lisle, the Honda Superstore, and the #1 certified Honda dealer in Chicagoland.
The last word with Jim Rome, Green Betting, Sports Talk, as you know it.
Darren Lewis in to play left field. He'll bat number 9 in the Cubs order. That spot due up third in the home half of the 8th. And Antonio Alfonseca is on with a man on, 1 out. And the Cubs nursing a 2-run lead.
Well, ideally, Don Baylor would have liked to have had Jeff Fassero remain out there. However, with the potential tying run now at the plate, and Craig Wilson with 7 pinch hit home runs last year, you want to play that matchup, righty on righty. And Alfonseca in search of his 7th save of the year in his 2nd day in a row that he will go over 1 inning.
Well, the Cubs say his arm is durable enough to take that kind of, I don't want to say abuse, but that kind of a workload. And we'll see if he's up to it here tonight. He's down 2 balls, no strikes to Wilson, a very dangerous hitter. You know the Pirates would like to find a way to get this guy's bat in the lineup a little more frequently. The problem is he doesn't have a position to play. He's a catcher by trade, but with Kendall there and with Kevin Young at first, he's had his share time in right field with Makoviak and Derek Bell when he was healthy and before he was on Operation Shutdown. And now off the bench is their chief right-handed pinch hitter. Broke his bat. Ground ball to Miller at third. They'll take the sure route and go to first. Wilson really got jammed. Runner at second, 2 out.
What did Billy Williams say? Grown man hit that?
Yeah, that's it.
I'll tell you what, I like Alfonseca. You know, even with the, a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, he's not afraid to run that fastball in on right-handed hitters, and that is a turbo sinker.
Mike Benjamin pinch runs for Ramirez, who is not running well at all with that still bothersome ankle. Kendall 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch. His average at .255. Real good team. This guy would be a real good player. Problem is, where do you hit him if you're a Pirate?
Well, that's the reason why he's hitting in that 6th slot in the order, because Lloyd McClendon feels like that's an RBI slot. Ideally, he's a player that would hit in that 2nd slot because he's so difficult to strike out.
The problem is for Kendall, who in fairness to him has batted most of his career at the top of the order, is that he's never been a big run producer. His RBI high was 75 in 1998, and he scored 95 runs then. But last year when he played through that real bad thumb injury problem, his numbers took a great hit. But for a guy that's going to hit between 12 and 14 home runs and drive in anywhere from 50 to 70 runs, $10 million a year is a pretty high price to pay, no matter how good a player he is. And that's the quandary the Pirates find themselves in. There aren't too many $10 million a year leadoff men in baseball. He doesn't have the kind of stroke that's going to make him hit more home runs at PNC Park. They've got a huge left and left center field there. His best stroke is to right and right center, and he hasn't been able to do that consistently because of the thumb problem. So just hasn't been a real good fit for him the last year plus in Pittsburgh. 2-2 pitch. Base hit to left field. Here comes Benjamin around third. He will score without a play, and we've got a one-run game on our hands. Jason Kendall knocks in his 16th run, his third RBI of this series, and charge that run to Jeff Passero.
Well as Alfonseca throws the ball inside, running in on right-handed hitters, if you don't at least show a hitter that slider away, all of a sudden hitters can lean on that inside pitch, and Kendall gets just enough to dump it over Bill Miller's head.
Well, here's a guy that you said very appropriately earlier has a slider speed bat. You do not want to give this guy anything with a wrinkle in it.
No.
Kevin Young 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Cubs have given up single runs in each of the last 3 innings. What looked like a cakewalk has turned into a one-run nail-biter tonight. Five to 4. Cubs leading the Pirates. The Reds are already in the win column tonight. They beat Florida 6-2. So Cubs hope to stay at 11 back. If they hang on and win, they will do that. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
No one heads up here. Kendall over at first base. You know, if you lose sight of him, he will take second base.
2 balls and 1 strike. Sam Newby of our media relations department wants to extend condolences to the family of Warren Hacker. Pitched for the Cubs for 8 seasons from 1948 to 1956. Warren Hacker passed away last night at the age of 77. And we had those thoughts as well. Just inside, ball 3. You got Pokey Reese waiting on deck. Full count. 3-2.
You know, everything right now that Antonio is throwing down and in. And what happens is that when he does throw that sinker out over the plate, that goes right into a guy's bat. Tell you what, I would still stay with that fastball in.
Crowd hollering. 3-2 pitch. Runner goes. Ball 4 inside. So the Pirates 1 hit away from tying this game up. First and second, 2 outs for Pokey Reese. He has an RBI single. Patterson made a great running catch on him in the 5th. He's also grounded out to short. He runs pretty well, so if he hits it where one of the infielders ain't, as they used to say, he might be able to outrun the baseball. So let's see if Alfonseca can take care of him. Reese hitless lifetime against him. A little fly ball to right. He'll remain hitless against him, and the Cubs will remain in the lead. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 men left. Bottom of the 8th inning. Cubs look for a little insurance. They're up by a run.
Southwest Airlines, bringing people together with low fare. Miller Lite. Life is best told at a place called Millerton. Hyundai, where driving is believing. Test drive one at your local Hyundai dealer today. And by AT&T Broadband.
Take a look at the Pennzoil protection play. Corey Patterson out in center field. Off the bat of Pokey Reese, and Corey Patterson put this into an extra gear and a little emotion out of Mark Pryor. A little self-talk out there.
Well, how about a little insurance?
Oh,
everybody needs insurance, don't they?
You got that right.
Hill, Ojeda, and Lewis are up against Scott Sauerbeck. Crafty Pirate left-hander. Wilson stays in the game in right. Mike Benjamin stays in the game at third for the Buccos. Good ball game tonight here at Wrigley Field. Cubs try to take a 2-1 series lead and win a rare one-run victory. They have come very difficultly for the Cubs. 4-10 in one-run games this year. Pittsburgh 10-6. The reason? Their bullpen's been great.
Coming into this series, that Pirate bullpen ranking 5th in the National League with a 2.94 ERA, and Sauerback making his 22nd appearance, and pretty good numbers out of him because of that breaking ball that you just saw to Bobby Hill.
They didn't throw like that in Iowa, for goodness sakes. That thing was like the Altoona curve.
Tell you what, those backdoor breaking balls from left-handers start way off the plate. Sometimes you give up on it as a hitter.
Ball 1-2, Augie Ojeda. Houston still leads the Cardinals 2-1. That game in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Central Division race. Reds by 3 over the Cardinals. If St. Louis loses, that'll move to 4, of course. Houston 5.5 back with the Pirates. The Cubs 11 back. You really have to hope that with the division playing against each other, that the games, that nobody sweeps anybody else at this point. Let the division beat itself up. Let the Cubs get healthy again, and then see where you are once this run of divisional play ends in the first week of June.
And most National League Central teams right now in the midst of, like the Cubs with 29 games in the middle right now, 29 games in a row against National League Central opponents.
Darren Lewis bats for the first time here in the 8th inning. How about a long ball off of his bat? That would send the crowd into delirium.
Well, you see Kevin Young there staying off the bag, and I really think as a base runner, you can get that much bigger of a lead over at first base. And the theory behind having Kevin Young stay off the bag is he's in a better position to field once the ball is delivered. However, you as a runner can go almost as far as that first baseman. With that double switch, Darren Lewis hitting, but boy, what Antonio Alfonseca last night. Line drive right up the middle. Forced a hit last night. The Pirates intentionally walking Moises Alou to get to Antonio. And the true professional hitter, Antonio, drove a fastball.
120% effort and about a 120 hopper, it seemed up the middle. 1 ball, no strikes to Lewis. And again to first, and a good pickup by the Pirate first baseman over there. This is a risky play, boy. The timing has to be very good. You can see why teams do it. I mean, you've got the fielder shielding the base runner from the move of the pitcher. But if you have the man breaking toward second base with a pitch that isn't made, pitcher has to let go of the baseball. It might end up in the seats.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a first baseman, you have that much more pressure on you to read his move. And there's been times where first basemen are fooled with that pitcher's move. He goes over to first base, and he's in his fielding position, not able to get over there.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Lewis. Looking ahead to the Pittsburgh ninth, they will have a pinch hitter, then Hermanson, then Jack Wilson, with Brian Giles waiting to possibly hit 4th for them. One, 2. Again, it's foul and out of play by Lewis. A couple fans below us are already getting into the upcoming Cubs-White Sox series, June 14th through the 16th. They're discussing things rather uncivilly below us. Cubs will play in Seattle at the Sox, at home against Texas for their interleague play this year. Not only will you not have to face that vaunted pitching staff of Oakland, you won't have to face Anaheim either. That's a pretty good deal. Pulled toward third, and that's inside the bag, fair. Ojeda around second, on his way to third. They're going to green light him, and he's going to score. How about that? A double for Lewis makes it a 6-4 game. The Pirates don't guard the line, and a slow roller results in a big insurance run.
That was a great at bat by Darren Lewis, fighting off a couple pitches and getting this breaking ball here. And we're going to make that our Mercedes moment to give the Cubs that big insurance run, second double of the year for Darren Lewis, and great job by both Augie Ojeda and Gene Glenn. Gene Glenn read the ball down in that bullpen and never stopped waving Augie Ojeda.
And nobody in the bullpen moved an inch, did they?
Not an inch.
Not supposed to help those guys at all. So good play by everybody. And Patterson backs away. He was hit by a pitch, you recall, a ball that nearly hit him in the cheekbone. So we'll see how he hangs in here against Sauerbeck in the Cubs' 8th. 6-4 now, the lead. Hung in there all right. Little roller, though, to the first baseman, Young. And he just did get him at first. Boy, that was close. Runner at third, 2 outs.
Tell you what, Kevin Young taking this himself, and Corey almost beats it out. And Darren Lewis over at third base had thoughts of trying to score on that particular play. If Kevin Young flips this to Sauerbach, Darren Lewis would have tried to score.
And clearly he did get him. Good call by Gary Cederstrom. 4-out number 2. Here's Joe Girardi. Can't say enough about the job Joe has done in his last 10-11 games. And he fouls that one off his foot. With the day game tomorrow, you figure he will not be in the lineup. Day game after night game. Cubs want to try to keep him as fresh as they possibly can until Todd Hundley gets back. Todd's down in Arizona, hoping to recapture his stroke. He'll go out on a medical rehab assignment and hopefully join the Cubs soon. They need his bat, assuming he comes back and hits. He hasn't done much hitting this year.
And the Cubs starting to get healthy with Alex Gonzalez coming off the DL, being ready for Saturday.
Right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Driven down the right field line. Girardi, another big hit. Lewis scores. Joe around second. He's on his way to third. And he is out. Why not? Girardi drives in Lewis to make it a 3-run game. Give him a double, give him an RBI, his second of the year, and he will go to the 9th inning with a big lead, and Alfonseca ready to nail it down. Our producer of Cubs baseball on Fox Sports Net is Bob Albrecht. He's also celebrating his 46th birthday today. Happy birthday, Bob. Our director tonight, Dave Turner. Our associate producer is Joe Corneo. Our stage manager, Christine Charbonneau. Our production manager, Moheen Ramsey. And the vice president of programming is Don Graham. Abraham Nunez leads off the Pirate 9th against Alfonseca. Nunez pinch hitting for Sauerbeck, who gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 walk. in 1 inning. And how big is that 8th now for Alfonseca? He can just pour it over and say, here it is, boys, hit it out if you can.
And against a guy like Nunez always likes to go the other way and hit 360 against the Cubs. And there you saw one of a few breaking balls that Alfonseca has thrown in this ball game. And you have that kind of sinker that he does, you don't have to show that breaking ball too often.
The question you have is, with Alfonseca tonight, an inning and 2/3. He went an inning and a third yesterday. Would he be available tomorrow if the situation arises?
You know, I would tell him, Antonio, tomorrow to put on your tennis shoes. So that way a manager has no thoughts of bringing him into the ball game. And I always like the rule, if you've thrown 2 straight days in the amount that Antonio has thrown, shut her down that 3rd day. But it's so tough to do, though, Chip.
Sure.
Because, you know, sometimes when you look at the Cubs' record, 13 games under 500, they haven't been in that position too many times.
Yes, some will say, well, he's been pretty well rested. But that is the temptation the manager usually has. There's Nunez trying to go to left. Robbed by Miller, scooped by McGriff. Super play at both ends. Finally, Dave Otto, the Cubs playing with a little sign of emotion.
You see Billy Miller hollering over to Freddie there? Our boy Freddie. Both Bill Miller here and Fred McGriff picking and grinning.
So we say hi and bye to Nunez in this 9th inning. Hermanson the batter. Hermanson 1 for 3 and 4 for 10 in the series. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I like this kid. I think he just needs to be given an extended chance, and he's done a fine job in this series. He's made a lot of good plays, and he's hit the ball sharply virtually every time up. The Pirates are now down to their last out. And the Cub fans, 40,138 strong. Biggest crowd since opening day. Ready to see that man break out in a smile. Mark Pryor on the verge of being a winner in the major leagues in his debut tonight in Chicago. Strike outside corner. 1 o'clock game on WGN tomorrow. Clement against Benson. Ground ball to short. Augie's got it, and the Cubs win it. 7-4 your final. Mark Pryor, congratulations. Welcome to the show, and what a show he put on tonight, Dave Otto. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. He's a major league victor for the first of what will be, I'm sure, many, many times.
What impressed me most about Mark Pryor was the composure that he showed from that first inning. And Chip, you mentioned those 10 strikeouts, and with that easy cheese right out of the gate to go along with that nasty breaking ball. Boy, not only Mark Pryor, Chip, but you know, offense scored 7 runs in this ball game, and 6 different players tonight with RBIs. And you look at that middle 3, and Sosa, McGriff, and Alou all with RBIs tonight.
And Sosa, McGriff, and Alou, much maligned for a lack of production tonight. In 12 opportunities to get on base, were on base via a hit or a walk 8 times. And so in a 2-hour, 49-minute game, the Cubs beat the Pirates 7-4. The Cubs now win their 2nd straight. They've won 3 of their last 4 and go to 9-17 in the Central. Still a lot of work to be done. 12 games under 500 for the Cubs. But with Mark Pryor and this team in total, it was an excellent, excellent start. 7-4 the final. We'll take a break. Come back to Wrigley right after this timeout.